Welcome back, everyone, to Phil's Recap and Review, The Sopranos, Season 2, Episodes 7 and 8. Episode 7 is called D-Girl, and Episode 8 is called Full Leather Jacket. These episodes were both directed by the same person, which is an interesting thing in Sopranos history. They're 2 episodes in a row directed by the same person, so there's some connecting tissue, even if it's just one scene, but we'll get all into it. I'm not alone. I have with me Big Daddy Matt. Hey, Matt.
On vacation, so
I know.
on Monday.
I know that's why we're A, here on a Monday, and B, here after less than a month break from our last Sopranos podcast. Very interesting. The jacket. Yes, with the jacket, Killmonger. We get to watch Richie in the jacket, and slowly but surely, as we putter away to the end of season 2, we see Richie Aprile explode in the sky and completely die. Hey,
we were saying last time, though, he is such a great character.
He really is. And we talked about this a little bit before. Do you think who's a better adversarial character for Tony, Richie or Ralphie?
Richie.
You think Richie is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Richie, but Ralphie is unlikable to everyone on the face of the earth.
Richie's old school.
Richie's old school, and he's the older brother of the former boss. Like, he actually has a level of clout, even if it's just in his head, that should demand more respect. And Ralphie just doesn't have that.
Yeah, Ralphie's just a pimp. He's a shit bum. He's the guy.
Ralphie could be taken out by anyone else at any point in the show. Like, you get the idea Richie's actually a badass. You see that. You see the stuff he does.
Yeah, and
you never see Ralphie act the way that Richie acts, except towards a girl,
and where he becomes more dangerous to Tony in the Sopranos universe. I was just gonna say Game of Thrones universe. In the Sopranos universe, is you see it at the end of the second episode we're going to be watching today, when what happens to Christopher happens to Christopher. Richie doesn't react in the way that I think Ralphie would have, where Ralphie would have been, okay, let's take advantage of this. Richie acts freaked out and pissed off and like, what the fuck did you idiots do? Because he knows protocol and he understands protocol. So Tony, someone's more dangerous to him that can work through the system.
Well, and by that time, he's also scared for his life. I don't think he is in the beginning, where he doesn't, and the other thing is this: when Ralphie, disappears, there's at least 30 people that could have done that, and no one would have been surprised by it. He's that much of a D-bag to everyone in the show.
And everybody, welcome the live motherfucking chat out there right now listening to us. Wait, wrong button. Live motherfucking chat. There we go. And we got Jasmine, Alex, M, Killmonger in the live chat watching along. If you haven't done one of these before, they're a little bit different. I keep looking over here like the camera's right there, but it's right there. If you've never watched one of these with us, what we do is we watch the episode live and we basically talk during it because they're episodes we've seen before. We'll give some context to what's going on in the scene in the episode, and you can watch along with us, or there may be ways for you to watch along with this video as well to see what's going on. But it is probably best when you're watching along if you've seen the episode before a couple of times, not trying to watch it for the first time while loudmouth me is
we talk over a lot of it.
And we talk about stuff that has nothing to do with the episode sometimes as well. So, but welcome. And The Sopranos is one of the best shows of history. I would consider it in my top 5 of my favorite shows, even considering the way it ended, which Matt and I will talk about eventually, as was a request from someone for a super chat donation. They want to hear Matt and I talk about the ending. So we're getting there. We're going to try to pick up the speed of these a little bit more often and start getting into season 3 over the summer because we have 2 more season 2 casts, one and then we'll be done with season 2 and moving on to season 3.
I just want to know if anyone's in the chat and you've seen the show The Americans, just throw out if you haven't, and if you like it, and if you think we should try to make Phil watch it. That's all.
Okay, thank you. And let's jump in the live chat. Chris makes his ultimate choice of the end of D-Girl. And I'm very curious to hear what Matt has to say once we get into D-Girl, because D-Girl deals with a very interesting concept.
See, I don't remember the last time I watched this. I've been going through it probably sometime in the last year, but I don't remember this particular
It's a skippable episode. And I'm not saying, okay, it's not a bad episode in any way, shape, or form. It's different than almost any other Soprano episode in my approximation because it's very celebrity heavy. It's in celebrity stuff.
And I think they were trying to still figure out if that was going to work, if that was a good thing. But this is, I mean, yeah, it's a better episode than the one with Hesh where they're trying to get reparations for
right.
But that's another throwaway episode that's like just.
And they never ditch this as part of The Sopranos. It goes even into, I think Cleaver's probably the final element of this, of where this progresses down. But there's always this aspect of it, of Christopher wanting to be in the movie business and wanting to find a way out. And this is kind of a fish out of water story. And it features a couple people that might seem familiar to Walking Dead fans, and of course, Mr. John Favreau is a big part of this episode, and I believe this is coming fresh off his Swingers success and stuff too. So in PCU, this is right in that period where he's doing those kind of movies.
Might be. Is this pre or post Elf? I'm going to look that up to see what year Elf came out.
Yeah, definitely do that. I think it's pre. And so this is it's a fun episode, but on rewatches, it's an episode I tend to skip at times, just because Adriana all the way. I'm team Adriana in this situation. And B, it doesn't move, if I remember correctly, it doesn't move a lot of the plot of season 2 along too much. So it's basically a standalone episode. But we are going to get into this. I don't
Elf didn't come out for 3 more years after this.
Okay.
So
have you guys seen Bates Motel? Not
okay. Killmonger. I just recently watched the Columbus episode as well. And it is absolute complete trash. It is like this in the fact that it's a standalone. The last 2 minutes of it, there's a scene of them in the car that's one of my 3 favorite scenes in all the Sopranos. But yeah, that episode's absolutely terrible.
Okay, so let's not waste any time.
But I think that's season 3, Columbus. Anyways, yeah, let's jump into this.
Yeah, let's jump into it. If anyone, we're trying to give you guys a little bit of time to get the episode up. If you want to watch it along with us, get your episodes up. And I'm warning ahead of time that there's been some problems with the app, and we might get some freezes here. But if we get some freezes, we'll deal with it and stop and start again, or not start from the beginning, but stop and start the episode again. But here we go with fucking D-Girl. You fucking D-Girl, Matt. Killmonger says this episode is silly till the end. Yeah, we get a little.
Right, and then he says the Columbus one. It's just season 4. Yeah,
season 4. And I have not seen Bates Motel. I think Joe has though, Jasmine. And someone said, Jasmine says, I can't believe I missed the weed chat. I didn't wake up until 1 o'clock that day. I'm glad you got to watch it afterwards. I'm sorry that you weren't able to be in the room live for it, so to speak. But thank you so much for that super chat donation and that request. That was that was fun to be able to talk about weeds. It's not a show I would necessarily jump out to talk about, but it's something I've seen a lot. It's just before the time where I started podcasting. I think I talked about it a little bit on my radio show.
What, weeds?
Weeds, yeah. I think it was one of the
My
things.
wife watched it. I never watched it.
I think you would like Elm. You would find some parts funny, but
it jumped the shark.
Yeah,
a bunch at the end.
It gets very full of its own self. It starts smelling its own farts and.
Well, and that was one of the first shows. I mean, that was one of those shows that came out that's Showtime, right?
Yeah,
it's
Showtime.
But like they were immediately trying to say, wait, jump right on. Once the Sopranos, made everyone realize there's big money in this. It was trying to become Showtime's like breakthrough show that people would watch.
Right. It was the transitional point episode. It was a transitional show that was half a situational comedy at times, and then was trying to give you that character like a Tony Soprano that isn't quite pure. Alicia's sexy in this episode. She's a little says Killmonger OTDA. Hey y'all, haven't seen The Sopranos, so just came in to give a thumbs up. Thank you so much, OTDA. That means
you should watch it at some point.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a great character study, and it's not necessarily about the story like some other shows. That's why the ending doesn't bother me as much, because I'm never quite super crazy invested in what's going to happen in The Sopranos. I just want to watch The Sopranos.
Yeah.
So I'm forgiven of the narrative not being quite as tight, because there are so many short narratives that are tight. Oh, I love a tight narrative. Oh, there's your boy, Matt's favorite character. Wait, was there a rejection sticker on that car?
Holy shit.
I'm ashamed to say how many times I've done that.
Well, ridden in a car with AJ Soprano.
That's the worst thing one could do. Oh my goodness, golly. Adriana Lacervo. Oh, I always forget that it's his.
Oh yeah, but you know what? I always forget how they meet, so this makes perfect sense.
So we meet this character right here, played by Alicia. I forget her last name. And she's dating Christopher's cousin. Is it? Is that he says his cousin?
Yeah.
Christopher said you're shooting a movie. That must be so interesting. This is the first project I brought in to John. Who's John?
John Favreau. She's head of his development.
Oh, don't be a twat, Adriana.
I work for Brennan. He's still a friend.
Hey, Favreau snapped her right up.
That movie he did, Swingers. Vince Vaughn is so cute. So, Christopher, how goes the screenplay? It's one of the best I've ever read.
Hey, easy, man.
What's he like in person? Incredibly funny, smart. John's totally accessible. You guys should come into the set.
Come on.
No, I'm having
Come on.
Great, friend. So, when do we get to read this over?
So you immediately get set up in this moment to see that she's a douchey, surface-oriented character. They set up in this immediate scene. They can tell by body language. And this is little stuff that The Sopranos does that even in an episode that I'm not a huge fan of, and I wouldn't say this is one of my least favorite Soprano episodes, but it's definitely not a memorable one for me in a lot of ways, except for what happens.
Go get him, Christopher.
Is this the Ben Kingsley episode too?
No, that's later on.
that's
That
later
has
on.
to do with Cleaver.
Okay. So Ben Kingsley makes me think a little bit, remember that a little bit more. This episode, the main thing I remember about it is him yelling at her at the end and calling her a fucking D-girl. And she's getting that early Dr. Milfy, Tony feelings about, oh, wow, Christopher's a tough guy.
Yeah, but she's also getting Dr. Melfi when she was in Goodfellas feelings when he goes, ask her to hide the gun. She gets all turned on.
And I know some of my girlfriends that would be like, fuck this, I got to get out of here. But I can't lie, I was kind of turned on. Oh, my goodness.
My dick. That swings too.
Don't say that, Christopher. I'm going to think I'm watching a different kind of video right now.
Really rub you the wrong way.
I love movies, but I just want to be a player. I don't want to fuck around with all this other shit.
So?
Is this where she starts dancing?
She invited him. Slip him a script.
Bridge and Tunnel Boy. I took that as he knew Christopher from Jersey. Yeah, I think it's his cousin Gregory.
I don't even have the thing. Threw it away. What? You have a copy?
I kept your script, Christopher. I maneuged. I maneuged to outmaneuver him. Yeah, he knew Christopher was from Jersey, and he basically said, Christopher probably said something to him along the lines of, do you know who I'm with? You know Jersey. You know the Soprano family.
It wasn't my fault. You stole my car. Where's the trust in this house? When I get confirmed, I'm going to be a man. So how come I can't drive?
Oh, you really want to get into this? Who was that man that we had to pick up at camp last year for bedwetting?
That was your leg. You could have killed those girls.
You could have killed that poor boy. So most of this episode,
What did you just say?
as we're watching, is played for comedy. And a lot.
What is this? Are you trying to get me to lose my temper because I'm about to put you through that goddamn window?
See? That's what I mean.
Oh my God.
Life is absurd.
This is when
Don't
this,
say that.
Matt,
God
this,
forgive you.
this is the point where AJ starts becoming insufferable. It's this point on. AJ,
And there's like 7 different versions of insufferable him. That's the whole thing. This isn't like the one like AJ stays like this. He sucks in 15 different ways. Every season he gets more annoying.
Hello, you gotta sign the stranger. You want to be an educated person? What do you think I should
he'll
do?
never be an educated person. He's a fucking moron.
He
Look at him.
is.
AJ is dumb. He's the dumbest one in that room. He's easily the dumbest one in the room. He's the dumbest one in the entire Sopranos family. I don't know where he got his dumbness.
Yeah, no, he absolutely is.
Because Tony's pretty smart in his own way.
Junior's very smart.
Junior's smart in his own way. Johnny Boy was.
Christopher is whatever.
But Christopher isn't a Soprano. I'm saying like blood-wise.
Okay, sure.
Like in that bloodline of the Sopranos. And Carmela's a genius, or in her own way is very smart.
No, but she's related to
Christopher.
Christopher's related to her, so
fair.
I mean, it is still.
Yeah. It is incestual.
Her parents both seem intelligent.
Maybe that's what it is. Maybe there's incest somewhere in there, and AJ's got a chromosome.
Janice is dementedly intelligent.
Yeah, Janice is dementedly intelligent. Where did AJ get his stupidity? I guess it's nature nurture kind of thing there. Like,
if you've never seen this show before, there's like how many seasons are there? 6.5.
6.5 seasons, or is it
7? We'll just call it 7.
7 seasons.
It builds up, and Tony never lays a hand on him till the last season. It's the biggest payoff in the whole show.
He's a dumbass. Hey, bro, great to see you. Great to see Jen. AJ's just lazy, says Jen S. It's lazy triggering the stupidity, and maybe that's the nature nurture thing, as I was joking a little bit about the fact that because he didn't have to challenge himself the ways that Tony did as a kid, and he was giving them some stuff, he couldn't gain the street smarts that Tony got.
Yeah, and he's also like juxtaposed with all these guys who are like manly men in the most like old school traditional ways, and he's such a wuss.
Yep. Speaking of Matt's favorite actor on the show, Big Pussy. Now this and the other these two suck. And Big Pussy, who bought a house by the graveyard so it'd be cheaper. And I believe they say that at some point in time. But Pussy, this is the setup for the death at the end of the season of Pussy. Anyo, just doing a quick bye to give a like and give the like button some attention. Hope everyone's doing well. Great to see you, Anyo. Thank you for popping on in. See, I forget.
Adolescent angst is very normal.
I guess I blocked out a lot of this from this episode.
What?
The AJ part of this story.
I did too. I forgot that was even in there. And I watched this again, not super recently, but within the last year.
Yeah. Yeah, when we were.
How's Anthony Jr.?
Yeah, of course. You don't have to whisper about that.
Phil, can we turn it up just a little bit?
I can turn it up a lot.
How's he supposed to understand that? And in general, the whole strain of the current atmosphere in your household.
But that don't give him the right to mouth off.
Sounds to me like Anthony Jr. may have
Yeah, it was quiet for some reason.
Existentialism.
Oh, fuck you.
No, it's a European philosophy.
I love how Tony's like, wait,
After World War II,
fucking internet.
disillusioned by the sheer weight of the horrors.
Fuck
And that's when the
existentialism.
whole idea took root that there were no absolute truths.
Yeah, and that's true, but with AJ doesn't understand dog shit. He just doesn't.
Oh, we froze.
We did freeze for a second, but it'll unfreeze in a moment. What the fuck? Let's jump in the chat. I'll give us an excuse to stop. Pussy didn't cry at
In your family?
cry at the death of Dwight is a fucking pussy. Yeah, Pussy didn't cry at the death, and Dwight is a fucking pussy. Hey Jay, great to see you, Jay.
Anthony, I think it's important we talk about your mother and what she tried to do to you.
Don't need to. She showed her true colors, that's all.
Has Anthony Jr. heard you say she's dead to me?
I don't know.
Do you think Tony, in some weird
Don't
way,
you think
respects his
that
mother
kind
for
of
trying to put a
talk
hit on him?
Lead a kid to embrace these ideas?
Oh, so now this is
Like
my-
there's some sort of disgruntled audio broads fucking.
Solely responsible for their decisions, actions, and beliefs, and that death lies at the end of every road. They can be.
No, I think he
overcome
just
with
likes her too much
intense
because
stress.
so much of why he's fucked up is because of his
A
mother.
dull,
Yeah.
aching anger that leads them to conclude that the only absolute truth is death.
Hey,
I think the kid's onto something.
so here's Christopher and the fish out of water out in the fucking
Okay, pictures up.
out in the set. Jay, I don't know what you're talking about. This is just how the room's laid out, and this is the 10th one of these we've done. So thank you for that, but I'm not gonna worry about it.
Action! My leg. I think it's broken. Okay, cut. All right, check the gate.
Okay, check the gate.
I remember every AJ episode was in because I was obsessed with him growing up, says Jasmine. She should have told Tony she got raped and figured the guy. She's lame as fuck. Wait, where's the Dwight?
What do you mean you were obsessed with him, Jasmine? Like you were into him, or you like were obsessed with the character from a objective standpoint? Did you have a thing for AJ?
You need to know the answer to this question.
I do need to know the answer to that. When she said she was obsessed with him,
so
like the way you're obsessed with it, like just because something's such a mess, or were you actually into him?
So then we continue here with this episode. This is where we get a bunch more celebrity cameos. We get we get John Favreau, who's like, oh, it's the mafia guy. Whoa. And you also see Janine Garofalo in this movie.
She's from Jersey.
Oh, I forgot about that.
She's a
Yep.
director. Beautiful film.
Oh, and Sandra Bernhard.
Sandra Bernhard, yeah.
Sandra
It
Bernhard.
was also hilariously funny. This lesbian romantic.
So this is the Sopranos is big now. So all these celebrities want to be on the Sopranos.
Yeah, and again,
because-
it's untested water. This hadn't happened where a cable show was this big that stars were trying to line up for.
Yeah, and it was, again, you talked about this in the last episode. It was a consistent thing. They found a better way to integrate it through the poker game.
Yeah, exactly.
But
Exactly.
it never stopped. And then the Ben Kingsley thing, like a one-off there. But this was when they were trying to ham-fist it into the stories.
Right. Because again, no one knew if it was a good or a bad look like to have it.
Yep. Hey, Madman Martz, great to see you.
Silencers underscore their voiceless place in society.
Camera's rolling. Spin the wheel. Spin it. Spin it.
And action.
Whenever,
I never had an egg.
yeah, especially the Christopher one really gets me. Jay asks, how big was Tony Soprano to be as a mobster? Was he like a godfather important in this fictional world? Very good question, Jay. We deal with that a lot more in the end of the series when New York gets involved. But realistically, if we look at the way that this fictitious mob scene is set up, the Sopranos are, let's be honest, Phil Leotardo's right. They're a glorified crew.
Yeah.
They're an offshoot of the New York. They're their own thing, but they're really a separate thing. They're not considered important in some other groups like the one the Lupatazzi family.
You know what? It's probably similar to like the Irish mob in Boston, where it's not. This isn't a New York family running huge stuff. There's still guys from the projects like doing.
And there's
whatever.
friendships and relationships, but
Yeah,
they're
yeah,
their
but
own
it's
thing.
not a. What is it? What did he just say to him?
Let that one.
Oh.
Call that one Bukyak.
Bukak.
That sounds more interesting. What?
Bukyak. I mean, if she's from Brooklyn.
That sounds okay.
Okay, let's roll. What does it mean?
Christopher just got so turned on.
Cunt, yeah. And everyone did, because that's what they care about in those moments. We kind of talked over it, but it was a good theater movie situation where everyone's just, this doesn't make sense. We got to figure out what makes sense about this. And
Right.
Christopher, the word cunt in an Italian way, Christopher made a lot of sense, and now he gets to be involved. Oh, wow, he was useful. Let's bring him in
Right.
to be a little bit more useful. It's how it works until he becomes a pain in the ass, and then get the fuck out of here. So to answer a couple questions, Jasmine, to answer your question, said both, especially grown-up AJ. She was into him, and so she was into his character
Wow.
and into the sexiness aspect of.
Like, look at him. Like, if you're looking at him right now, he's just like he looks like a young me in the passenger seat. Like, not attractive.
Broke. You're cuddleable, Matt. Broke says it's like an entourage with celebrities came out of nowhere, but it matched the show. I'm shutting up. No, I mean, it was fit into it. That show was made just to be a gigantic celebrity cameo.
Right.
Jersey's incredibly outnumbered by the New York mob, but they're respected. Yeah, they're respected. They have long-time relationships with the Lupatazzi family of New York, which is Carmine. Is it that's name Carmine Lupatazzi? Yeah, Carmine Lupatazzi. And Johnny Sack is a childhood friend of Tony, who is a big-time captain in this fictitious family. So respects the Soprano family. Johnny Soprano always got shit done for them.
Yeah, and I think financially, I mean, just because geographically they're so close to New Jersey and New York, they're in business a lot with each other.
Whoops.
fuck, that's so cool. That's like the inspiration for Johnny Fontane, the studio boss in GF1, right?
So then we get
That's the one beef I have with swingers. You guys patting yourselves after Frank and Dean, but there was like a pussy assness to it.
Well, that was kind of the point of the piece. I mean, you know, it's like.
So you brought us your script.
so she interjects to stop any problems from happening, but that's a little hint to where it's gonna go.
Deep Impact, swingers.
Here's the thing. Your script is set in a world that I'm interested in doing my next project on. A picture on the life of crazy
Scroll up,
Gallo.
Phil. I answered Matt's question. Oh yeah, the that for both.
Yeah, but I see Gallo.
So horrified by that.
Yeah, Matt read it. He's processing it. He wants to be nice to everyone. No.
Well, and I'm also looking at young, pudgy AJ right now. This isn't like, I guess there was a time I wouldn't call him attractive, but he definitely like got in shape as he got older. And, you know, his jaw squared up a little bit. Like right now, he just looks like mini me. It's
He actually looks like.
no, I know I'm beautiful and all. But
He looks
no
more
one's-
like childhood Joe, but I get the point.
Yeah.
I
It's,
don't want to act unless I can play myself.
Which is totally understandable. Listen, ever since Amy told me that maybe we could work together, you know, like you could tell me the way shit goes down, you know, like what makes sense, what people really say, you know what I mean?
So Gallo, I was like 3 years old when he got wet.
Yeah, but speech patterns. I mean, you saw Swingers. Whatever you think of that motherfucker, man, it's like you could tell it's extremely important to me how
I love how she looks at him there because I think what was trying to be played here. This is my problem with this episode. I think some of the things they're trying to do, it just doesn't work. Like they're trying to, like I think they're trying to get across that he's really trying too hard to impress Christopher here to get him involved. But
Shit, that thing is still alive. If I told you 15 years ago that she was a piece of ass, would you believe me?
What?
Yeah.
and this is key to something that happens later. Christopher tells him a story as he's also working on a script about this gangster Frank Gallo.
It's made guy, right?
Let me ask you this: do you think any? It probably wasn't though. They weren't putting celebrities in to try to get viewership. I don't think.
No,
She's got a-
It was
no.
never that. It was probably reached out from the celebrities to them, not the other way around.
And the fact that I think David Chase is a big movie fan and never really liked TV. And always felt kind of shitty about that The Sopranos ended up being TV, not a movie franchise. So if movie stars want to be a part of his show, it only helps his thing. Phil, save one, the other two go away forever, including memories you have. Game of Thrones, Sopranos, and Star Wars. I save Game of Thrones and Sopranos.
No. You save one, the other two go away.
Oh, shit.
It's one bad motherfucker.
It's fine. I'm not offended.
I don't know. It's tough. Can be-
Go away forever, Phil.
Okay. I definitely Star Wars goes away.
Yeah,
I can live
and
without,
again,
I could live without a word.
primarily because
I'm a
that's
Trek.
fine.
I'm a Star Trek guy, first and foremost. So the Star Wars one's easy to give away. I do like Star Wars, but
It's so soured and ruined for me at this point that I don't even care.
Look at my little friend in the
the hard choice, the real Sophie's choice would have been if you said Game of Thrones, Sopranos, and Breaking Bad, because it would be that would be easier for me because I would probably say I would keep Breaking Bad over any of the other three. But with you tell me Sopranos and Game of Thrones, they're kind of very close in that second spot for me, and they shift a lot.
and yet very like so different.
So
from each other.
different, so different. Can the books exist and just not the show? Oh my fuck! I would say I'd have to keep because of what way I feel right now and recency bias. I would keep Game of Thrones. I would have to keep Game of Thrones. Recency bias, and I'm so invested in wanting to know how the story ends. But if I could live in a world with, so yeah, that's my fucking answer to it.
You didn't really ask me or care, but since I've never seen Game of Thrones, I keep Sopranos.
Yeah, of course.
Ditch the other two.
Of course. So I kind of talked over that, but he's trying to show AJ how to be tough. You know.
Yeah.
I was hanging out with John
It's a couple?
Favreau.
You what? You went to the set?
Yeah.
Dude, fuck him for treating Adriana like this in this episode. She is so innocent and doe-eyed. No.
They did?
But she also doesn't take any shit. Once she figures out what's going on, she just tells him to go fuck himself.
What? Vince Vaughn didn't come down there.
Hey, Travis. Good to see you, buddy.
Elbow up, man. Keep it straight.
Lady Gaga was in season 3 at the school pool with AJ. Really, Killmonger? I did not know that. I did not know that. We'll have to mention that when we get to that episode.
You gotta snap out of this,
Yeah, weird. I had no idea.
I do know I know the exact episode you're talking about.
Well, yeah, that was before Lady Gaga. Though.
Yeah,
We don't
where
even
they
know
trash
who
the
she
pool
is.
and stuff. It's classic AJ, where AJ gets kicked out of another school.
That didn't already happen? Oh, see, I rewatched it on my own outside of this.
Oh, it ain't. That in high school was almost all county left field. But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about your confirmation year.
Oh, I remember what happened now. Okay, so he's taking him to Pussy to talk to him about having the confirmation and to get off the existential bullshit.
Let me tell you something. Nietzsche wound up talking to his horse. And I know what you're going to tell me. Sartre, right? Well, Sartre was a fucking fraud.
This is awful.
He copped it all.
It's awful 'cause-
Go on.
Does AJ really understand any of this?
No, but they're, again,
Start at the beginning.
if they made The Sopranos today, this wouldn't be in it. They would have already had a blueprint for how to do
Yeah.
this. If it came out after all these other shows, they wouldn't have bothered with this.
This is just stupid, and it's and we'll be honest. As we love The Sopranos, it's one of my top shows. But if stuff doesn't hold up or we just don't feel it, I think some of this stuff is unnecessary on what was the most interesting stuff in season 2. But they always cared about the family thing. I mean, David Chase always cared about the family. What's up, Paul Q? Great to see you. You have to watch one or the other. Last season of Walking Dead or Star Wars Christmas special 15 times in a row.
That's awful.
Oh.
I never watched Walking Dead. I wouldn't know.
Hi, welcome to Silver Grand.
I'm here to see
Christmas special because it's oh no, because 15 times in a row, so it's the same amount of hours. You asshole, Jay.
I'm sorry, sir. Mr. Favreau has requested not to be disturbed.
Tell him his PM is Wayne.
Ugh.
He has his telephone
This is
programmed
Walking
to
Dead.
not be disturbed.
It's 2 o'clock in the fucking afternoon.
But he's trying to fucking sleep. What's up, Tom? Great to see you, buddy. Okay, so he has to deliver.
What are you doing here?
I was supposed to be meeting John to discuss my script, but now he's got to do not disturb.
Yeah, she didn't went very late. Didn't wrap till 5:30. Come on in.
So now she.
I brought him Jersey's best sandwich. Fucking.
I mean, a big dynamic of this episode is watching her
Oh,
seduce
okay.
and use Christopher through this entire episode, and he eventually figures it out. But
No, I can't stay. I got some.
you see her start the manipulation, and she decided in that first meeting, when in the first scene in the episode, that she was going to have Christopher. So now she's not getting dressed; she's staying in the fucking robe.
This kind of thing's unacceptable where I come from. You read my script?
I can feel it in my bones, Ian. It's happening.
John asked me to give it an official read. Don't take it personally. This was process. Billy Bob wrote something you wanted to do with John, and John let me do it first. Hello.
It's back when Billy Bob was a.
Hey, honey.
Oh, Billy, a serious actor. Yeah, post Bad Santa.
Yeah, that's right. The screenwriter. Okay, well, Gregory says go fuck yourself. Union Square Cafe? Okay. All right, I'll see you there.
So what'd you think about it?
About what?
My script. I love movies.
It's
I
awful,
start with
Christopher.
the
You couldn't even
dialogue,
finish how to spell the word
conflict,
menage.
Tell the story in picture arcs.
I think it's got some real heart.
Yeah.
Some good raw emotion in it. You should probably try and finish it.
Yeah, I hit a fucking wall. Third act shit. Vicky King in 21 Days to How to Write a Movie in, she says that's not uncommon.
But these aren't third act films. They're in the second act.
Get the fuck out of here.
You see, you ended right here in the middle of page 83.
I think this is also a lot of inside.
Yeah.
The expression is inside baseball.
Right.
Where like the filmmaking stuff. It's David Chase made this for himself, I think, or kind of dictated this episode.
He doesn't know.
like or approve this episode because he likes the inside filmmaking bullshit of it.
Well, no, because later on his father gets that cancer of the eye. What do they call that? Glaucoma, whatever the fuck.
Yeah, hi honey, I'm about to fuck your cousin. Exactly. She is so bad, dude.
Oh. But the third act starts at page 90.
I'm not in the third fucking act.
Your inciting incident doesn't happen until page 12. It should be on page 3.
See, I knew that arc shit fucked me up. I tried making it all these 3 dimensions, like she said.
Here, sit. I'll show you.
Oh, she'll show him.
All right, come sit on the bed.
Okay. See, I was thinking, to take the scene where Rocco is fucking the 2 Asian strippers.
That's a fuck.
I know, but my question is, what's the stake? The jeopardy's unclear.
Yes, Tom himself.
There's a 7-part hierarchy of human needs that explains and clarifies what drives us, starting with the basic needs.
And people that might not recognize this actress, she was on last season of The Walking Dead. I'm sure she's been in other things too, but those are the 2 things I'd most know her from.
You want me to tell you what all 7 are?
7 what?
Deadly
The
Sins.
human needs.
The
Maslow's hierarchy.
Jesus Christ.
Survival.
A teacher, the number of times I've been subjected to that.
Safety and security. The need to understand.
Bam, bam, channel, bam, 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 bam. Yes, he has, Jay. He loves most of it as well. In fact, early on, Joe and I would, when we didn't have cable, we'd show up at Matt's apartment during the final season and force him to let us watch the episodes at his house.
I didn't have a couch. I think we sat on 3 chairs.
Yeah, we sat on
Awesome.
three kitchen
It's
chairs.
hot.
She slides off his pants with her leg, and
The words of Ralphie. She was a whore.
she was a whore, a dirty whore, Christopher. And Christopher falls right for it. Right for it. He thinks she is interested or she's a potential.
No, and she's so not like it. You know, she knows all the stuff that Adriana doesn't.
Yeah, exactly. She's everything Adriana isn't in a lot of ways. She's legitimized. She's not stuck in that world. She's not naive in the way that Adriana is naive.
She like doesn't just encourage, but understands the stuff he's passionate about.
Yeah.
No, I didn't know I had a grandson.
I miss you.
Jasmine.
You never come to see me.
I've been busy.
This is one of the connecting
And
tissues.
don't lie to me.
What Livia says in this episode comes through in the next episode about seatbelts.
He doesn't.
Listen.
Honest.
Oh, I love
He
Livia.
doesn't talk about you in the house.
Oh, you can go shit in his ass.
Phil kind of has a thing for Olivia. It's pretty fucked up.
I do. I have a little bit of a TV
Is that
correct.
mashed potatoes and meatloaf? What's going on over there?
It looks like a piece of dirty bread. I
think it's meatloaf.
Oh
Dad
my
doesn't like
goodness.
my attitude. So Uncle Pussy said that I should come down here and talk to you.
Uncle Pussy.
You're old and have wisdom and stuff.
Oh, his mother's another one. Well,
Your girl.
Phil.
Look how excited Phil gets.
Dude, she's
I don't know
awesome.
what's weirder, you being into AJ Jasmine or Phil being into her.
It's so awesome. Every scene she's in, she makes better.
Already fixed it.
Did you wear your safety belt?
Yeah, this right here.
Because there was an article in the paper the other day about a bunch of teenagers from out near the dome in Watergate. They overcrowded their car, it hit a tree, and it incinerated. And they got trapped. People could hear us.
Remember that in the next episode that comes back.
The safety belts did it. Buckle them in.
See, that's what I mean. What's the purpose?
Of what?
Being here on our planet. Earth. And those kids were dead meat. What's the use? What's the purpose?
Why is everything?
Yeah, what Olivia
have to have
says
a
is so true.
purpose? The world is a jungle. And if you want my advice, Anthony,
Jay says that's where "Go Shit in Your Hand" came from. I thought She's Out of My League. She's Out of My League came out with that on their own.
and I'm not naming any names, but in the end, you die in your own arms.
Well, episode Jasmine. I will definitely
It's all
review the
right,
first
man.
episode and see if I want to go
What makes
further
you
with
think
that.
you're so special?
I'm not gonna hate watch a series like that, but I will do any review you request, like a single review of something. If you say watch the first episode or something like that, it's within reason.
I took an acting class once.
Oh yeah? Yeah, how'd that go for you?
But I didn't need it.
Oh yeah.
I figured out.
Yeah, I'll try to watch season 1. I'll try to make it through a whole season.
Smart man. It's like Bugsy.
Yeah, you know, that was another thing that kind of blew about Swingers.
Like the acting?
Oh, you know, it was good fucking acting. Hanks, Private Ryan. Darn it.
Do you know who's a good a good teacher? That PD. He's the best. You know, I like the PD. He's the better teacher. He's an awesome teacher. Your students tell me you suck.
That's another thing about that movie of yours.
It's another thing about that class you taught. It just was horrible. Jasmine says AJ is just delicious. Oh my goodness.
See, and this
Strapped, huh? Yeah.
Fuck. Jesus fucking Christ. Watch out, man. Holy fuck.
Maybe it's Favreau I don't like in this role.
Can I ask you something else?
I feel like he's kind of taking a shit out of it a little bit. He's not taking it too seriously.
Yeah.
Have you ever
But I don't know. Maybe.
Have I ever what?
come on. You know.
No, what?
But this is a recurring theme too, that everyone that they run into that's from outside the world,
That's
just
cool, man. I'm sorry.
they're such a stereotype to them. Like, are you strapped right now? Like when he hangs out with the doctors. And
Man,
stuff.
that's actually a really good perspective, and it makes me look at it a little bit differently in the sense that maybe what they're trying to do is show you that, like when we watch mafia movies, we see these people as stereotypes of like Robert De Niro or whatever, and now The Sopranos is more from their perspective, mainly Tony's, but this is one of those episodes that's a Christopher perspective episode.
Right.
So we're seeing things from what Christopher sees. So the performance, he's seeing a character. These are movie characters.
But I think
What'd you think of my script?
Tony's more aware that that's how they're looking at him. Christopher doesn't get that here. When he asks him, he's strapped. He's like happy to show him that.
Because he's got cowboyitis.
I know Frankie.
Right.
He's
You
my
know,
fucking leading man.
he wants to be known in a way.
He's,
But I agree. Tony figures it out. I think it's in season 1, maybe when he's on the golf course or something. There's a moment where we see Tony figure that out when all the guys are laughing him. The city official dudes are like making fun of him a little bit.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Okay, I can take advantage of this a little bit."
Snaps on his shoes.
Yeah, now see, that's the question I was going to ask you.
Awesome, Jasmine. Yeah, definitely let me know.
But in the hit against Rocco, somebody's going to hear him walking on the roof.
Yeah, that's a problem. But you know what I was thinking was, it's in this script, in all scripts, really,
I love how they're all afraid to tell him it's shit.
Right.
Your life, your vision.
The roof is soft.
That'll work.
The roof is soft.
Just tell him.
Well, yeah, and the father could, could go blind sooner, and then you could smell the tar on Frank.
Oh, okay. So he's supposed to be freaking out because of the gun, because he thinks his prints are gonna be on the gun.
Holy fuck, that's fucking great. Then Frankie's got to put one in his old man's head. Blam. Then another one. Blam. Mwah.
It's so
Fucking
awkward
brilliant.
right now.
Yeah, it is. It's so like there's just a thick layer of awkwardness. You feel it.
Tony would have
never.
never let it get that awkward.
No.
He's much more aware of it.
Oh, I forgot about this too. Adriana goes to Tony and Carmela to rat on Christopher through all of this. And all Tony needs to hear is the movie thing. And he's like, what? And I love this aspect of it. They constantly refer to, oh no, I forgot about this. Christopher fucking freaks out here.
I ordered you some pasta for school to start, and we're gonna get a plate of antipasto to share. I got some rare imported salami.
Are you gonna Henry Hill up? That gets referred to a couple of times. Are you gonna make a Goodfellas movie?
We were just discussing Anna's wedding. What about you guys?
What about you guys? We should make it a double wedding.
First, someone has to propose.
I'll propose to you.
I've seen the list that Matt's wife's given to him. Adriana is the only name on that list.
He asked me how she was slipping. I heard they fired the produce guy.
And it says Adriana too. It doesn't say Dre DeMeo. It says Adriana.
That's all anybody ever talks about is prosciutto, cheese and fucking fava beans. I'm drowning here. Christ, take it easy. We're not even engaged
You
yet.
don't insult
When
food.
you're married, you'll understand the importance of fresh produce. Oh,
Oh. Jay, it's funny that you talk about that. Matt and I, at the end of the second episode, we're doing one more episode after this. We're gonna do a probably like a 15-minute review, 20-minute review of that.
Fuck him. I tried so hard to be supportive, but
And then I'm gonna cut it out of the video and post it as its own thing.
Screenplay made.
the screenplay?
Bum bum bum. You fucking
Hey, update on my
motherfucker.
truck?
Is
Working on it. I got my ear to the dirt.
is this when he gives him his last out?
Fucking prick.
When
You think I'm
Tony
wearing
basically
white
says,
top
if you want out of this right now, this is your last
I don't
chance.
remember.
Party right after at Tony's house.
You miserable motherfucker, I'm the kid's sponsor. Hey, who the fuck is sponsoring you, motherfucker?
Excuse me, sir. I don't have to tell you again. This is a smoke-free environment.
You don't have to tell you again. I'm a fucking Christopher Moltisanti. I'll do what the fuck I want. What are you gonna do? Arrest me for smoking?
Yo, Amy.
Hey, you. What a nice surprise.
Yeah, I was in the neighborhood. Where were you?
I was at the big Chloe party. Sat across from Alphonse Delano.
I love how they're making him already a little
I was
clingy.
thinking we could stop down at the
So where were you?
Excellent. I'll just change real quick.
I feel bad for Christopher here. Not that he's banging her, but just how like
He manipulated he is. I mean, I don't have to get talk about actual experiences with names and stuff, but I've been in situations like that. You meet someone, it's too good, and you don't realize that you realize a few weeks later that she's just using you for a week while she's taking a break from her boyfriend or something, and then suddenly it's done. And once that door gets shut, you're and it's happened to everybody. All people have been in situations like this. Joe was in a situation like this where he showed up at the person's work afterwards to give him a flower, and he was like sitting outside the work, and
I remember this.
and then the girl called the cop. They called the cops on him because they didn't know they saw this creepy guy sitting at the work with flowers.
Was it a Marblehead?
Yeah, it was in Marblehead. Yeah,
I do remember that.
my situation is with one of your exes. When I first met her, when I was like 16 years old, and she was like a year younger than me or something, where I was 17, and
Would this be a tall ex?
yes, a tall ex. And I thought she was the very, like innocent, cute, and I met her in a week because she played a character when she first met me, that she was this person because she knew that that's what I would find attractive. And then that quickly disappeared when the switch had shifted. And it makes you feel very stupid. And that's and Christopher is 100% in on this right now. Jasmine, no worries. Don't worry about it. No timetable or anything like that, but I do appreciate that kind of support. I mean, I should say, no, make sure you do it tomorrow. No, take fucking no worries.
When?
Somewhere Stephanie's voice is on my shoulder going, no,
Yeah.
say yes.
2 nights ago.
Ah!
Oh, fuck. Fuck me. Cousin.
And that's a weird transition too.
How are we gonna tell him?
Amy, don't do this now. We'll figure something out. Come on.
I'm not a terrible person.
Yeah.
Amy, get back here.
Manipulation tactic 101. When you are faced with the truth that you know that you'll be the one considered a fucked up person, shift the blame and make yourself the victim. So therefore, the person that might be figuring out the situation can go to a I have to save you place. That's manipulation tactic 101. So this is when stuff starts getting real, I guess, as Christopher happens to
Amy.
turn to the exact right
Hey,
page
listen.
of this scene.
Long shot, a nightclub. Not just any nightclub. Cut to close-up on the letter C and an O and a P.
You're not supposed to be reading that. It's limited distribution, numbered draft.
Pull back to reveal this is the Copacabana. Inside, it's all fun. And games as mobsters wine and dine their beautiful gourmands. Jesus. You can see it. You can see the movie from the words. This is the way you write a fucking script.
Right now she's praying he doesn't turn to the page.
Fucking shit. Hey! Hey, come out of there. He used it. What, just because he gave me that tar smell idea? I could have come up with that.
What?
A friend of mine, Stone Wise Guy, John used his whole fucking story. The she-male in the acid, it's all here. This is Joey Cipollini's fucking story.
No character named Cipollini.
Forget it. You can't put that in there.
It's not the same at all.
The fuck you talking about?
You said your wise guy friend was at a swing set. This guy gets his dick sucked at the Statue of Liberty.
Don't you understand where I come from? I explained it how many times?
Where are you going? We can't take it out now. We faxed it to Oliver, who's agreed to be attached to his favorite thing. Don't. He's sleeping. Come on, how mad could your friend get?
1204 checked out. Where is he?
This is so absurd of you to get so bent out of shape.
She doesn't get it. They don't get it. Or they do or they don't care.
I still need to see your pass.
I know John.
But, sir, this is a closed set. No visitors, no press, no friends of John.
Hey, Bukat.
Hi.
Where's John?
Oh, he left this morning for LA.
A fucking cocksucking Mexican.
What does that mean? You got more stuff like that I can use?
That actually,
Last time you saw Janine Garofalo, by the way.
I was just thinking that, and wow, like I forgot how much I sort of liked Jeanine Garofalo in that era, and this, and then in Mystery Man and stuff like that. She was funny, and
You've been in there all week.
Shaven. I don't want you coming in there when I'm in there.
Tom, thank you guys, you're awesome.
Mirror with any good light is in there.
Oh,
You want the fucking light?
and you rat bastard.
Fucking prick. Just because he didn't want to do a year for heroin. No, it has to do with his kid, doesn't it? His kid got busted for.
Come on, get Bukat. Did I say that wrong?
Good enough. Oh,
There
fuck.
you go.
Go, Angie.
We'll see who the big pussy is now.
Pussy.
Jesus Christ, the fuck's with you? Are you bleeding?
So this is all whatever you think about his acting. This is one of the early tentpole moments for early Sopranos. The pussy story arc that ultimately concludes at the end of this season.
Wow. Robert Rodriguez has signed on to do a remake of Divas of Plata with Harvey and Bob.
We used to have a friend named, we still have, called Glowacki that would, he'd always be that guy. He'd always be the guy knocking on the door.
This is neither the time nor the place.
I love that Christopher will just walk in anywhere and do this.
Yeah.
Have you touched base with John?
And that's the thing, any world, whether it's this world or the mafia world, he's not someone that has any chill, especially when he's angry.
Sir, are you here to see David D. Camillo?
Get the fuck out of here.
Touch base.
You were just gonna leave?
What are you talking about?
My script.
Christopher, based on Mickey Blue Eyes' first weekend foreign, there's a wait-and-see attitude towards mafia-related projects right now, so we're gonna have to pass.
Oh. Did John say that? Are those his words?
I speak for John, and if you'd let me finish, we want to assure you that we'll certainly take a look at anything else you write.
You're good.
Christopher.
Fucking walnuts don't lie as good as you.
Amy. David's ready.
I love that line. Walnuts don't lie as good as you.
Chris, it was wrong with us and Greg, and All that.
I really liked you.
Aw. The look.
It's getting kind of William Inge here, isn't it? I gotta go.
She plays that disconnected
Fucking D girl.
fucking D girl.
Excuse me? Excuse me,
And-
I'm the vice president. You fucking asshole.
And if people don't know what the expression D girl means, a D girl refers to a young woman in the show business who works to develop films or TV projects. At one point in the story, Adriana asked Christopher if he had just spent time with John. Perhaps it's only coincidental, but there's a real life former Hollywood D girl named Susan Izzy Cupo who was produced 6 TV movies. Oh, I forgot Richie was in this
Have a
episode.
drink.
Fucking Resorts International.
Hey, little brother.
Now the boss down the hall, Richie. Over there. Oh, and we count the silverware.
Hi, I'm Jazz.
So he's such a ball breaker.
Listen, Tom.
Fucking D girl.
My nigga Weiss Chuck.
No name, no mind.
What you on that?
Tony, we're out of ice in here.
All right.
So Pussy wired for sound, trying to get some intel there, but at least he's trying. Oh yeah, this is okay. This is
What is he smoking?
he's smoking weed. Yeah.
Is it AJ or is it her?
No, it's AJ. It's AJ smoking weed.
Oh, it is.
You smoked marijuana at your confirmation, you dirty filthy pig. I think Carmela calls it a dirty filthy pig, and then he brings that back later in the series. I got called a filthy pig at my confirmation. Yeah, what kind of animal?
Confirmation. I don't know.
Not for you, I don't know.
What do you want me?
Christopher makes the biggest decision of his life in the series at the end of this
Get
episode.
inside right now and join your guests.
Hey, Mike, great to see you.
15 fucking minutes. Is that so much to ask?
What kind of boy smokes marijuana? Tony's like,
She just sent him back in.
yup. That's the worst feeling in the world. Paranoid kind of feeling walking up those steps into that room of people. He just smoked weed.
Yeah, well, I know. Kids down in the garage getting high.
Let me talk.
Oh, pussy. And he unplugs the wire here, I think. Couple of other fun facts about this episode. Christopher leaves John Favreau the double-crossed. He says to him, this fucking mezzo Fanuccio. Mezzo is Italian for half, while Fanuccio is a spiteful term used to indicate homosexuals. A future movie project about made men in the late mafioso Joey Gallo. John Favreau talks so passionately about in the episode. One actually brought some to life in his 2001 movie Made, and fittingly, the Sopranos cast members made cameos in the Favreau movie. Vincent Pastore, Dre DeMato as Hawk Girl number 2, and Frank Castellano as the bouncer. Also, several members showed up in future Soprano episodes, appeared in a mob comedy, Mickey Blue Eyes, which made reference in this. And in both D-Girl episode, Favreau made characters making disparaging comments about it. And when Christopher confronts Amy in the offices of the twice-mentioned David Damascello, a prominent talent agency who happens to represent Janine Garofalo, who appears in the episode. First five episodes written by Todd A. Kessler, who, like most Sopranos staff writers, also produced and co-produced many episodes in the series, a total of 20 in this case. His brother Glenn, also a TV writer-producer, did some acting as well, appearing in 3 2001 episodes as a FBI tech. Janine Garofalo also co-starred in another TV episode entitled D-Girl. This one was March 13th, 1997, in an episode of Law & Order.
Hey. Listen to me.
And Livia Soprano's twisted warning to her grandson AJ about just how deadly car seatbelts can be dramatically brought home amid a hell of bullets one episode later in full leather jacket.
Don't ever forget it.
You know what he's acting like right now?
What?
A big pussy.
A big pussy? A giant pussy? That was good. I wish I had my dun-dun sound effect there. That was a good one, though. Is that the kind of jokes that you get away with in your class?
Why don't you yell out the words "big pussy"? But yes, they're expected to be bad, like math dad jokes.
Give up the pussy a hug.
Give the pussy a hug.
Uncle Pussy. It sounds so much dirtier.
No, it's a
Come here and hug your Uncle Pussy.
Uncle Pussy, but why are you all wet? I'm sweating. Oh yes, I know what you're talking about. This is what we're referring to later. Christopher, this is Christopher's final out. Tony takes him outside and gives him a.
I got one son, and you missed his confirmation ceremony.
I figure with all
Gives
my
him his
kids,
last
I'm
chance, I
just
believe.
getting
Like
in on it.
lets him sit on the deck and goes, "If you want to come back in, come back in."
Hey,
Oh fuck.
on the fucking rag again.
No, I'm on a rag. She just wondering who the fuck you are.
No lectures, all right? Tell him I'm not in the mood.
I agree. I'm gonna go back in there and be with my guests. Exactly 10 minutes, I'm gonna look up. If you're not here, I'm gonna assume that you went to look for whatever the fuck it is that's calling you out there. And then I will never see you again. If you are still here, then I'm
I love that
assuming
look.
You have no desire in the world but to be with me. And your actions will show me that every fucking second of every fucking day.
If Christopher's gone, is he dead? Is that what Tony was saying there? And I'll never see you again. Was that code for if you leave?
Is you leave and you know better to never come back.
Okay, so he was giving him an out there.
Yeah.
Should Christopher take this out?
No.
Come on.
I think if his whole meeting with Favreau had gone differently, possibly.
Would he have? If they said we want to develop your script right now, would Christopher?
He just got dicked over. He just tried to like dip his toes in the fucking, to test the waters, and because
let's
they fucking bit his toes off. It was
let's
awful.
not undersell this moment. Killmonger was right. This is his life right here. This moment cost him his life.
He makes one other decision that is as big as this later on, but we never get to that point if it doesn't.
Right. He's never allowed to get to that point because Adriana, because he changes his mind about it.
Yeah. But that's a crazy decision.
That's a crazy decision.
I'm shocked he actually makes that decision that he does.
But here it is, your life right now, Christopher.
I had a romanticized version, romanticized version of this. Christopher left without Adriana instead of choosing what he did. You know what he's crying like?
A big pussy.
He's crying like a big pussy.
You got two more of those for it to be funny. Save one for the season for now.
He's gonna stop doing this. He's actually acting like that now.
Yeah, he knows he's fucked. He knows he has nothing else.
But they do so many moments like this so much better than this one right here.
This is not a great Sopranos episode.
No.
This is one of the
in a better episode. That scene with him is just shot so much better and better imagery to the whole thing, and not interrupted with with pussy crying on the toilet.
That episode is. I don't think it's quite as bad. You said it earlier. I don't think it's quite as bad as the season 1 music industry, the Hesh one, but it's not. It's the worst episode.
And honestly, the one that Killmonger mentioned before, I don't know when the last time you've seen the Columbus one is. But outside of the last 2 minutes, which is the best moment of The Sopranos, it is an awful episode. And it's late in the series, they had essentially ironed out so many of those things.
Yeah.
And to have one of these throwaway episodes, and it was awful.
Uncle Pussy, what you crying about? So this is probably my least favorite episode of season 2 so far.
Yeah.
And I can go back and look. Yeah, it's definitely my least favorite. Of season 2.
Quickly flip through them.
Yeah, we got guy walks in the Yelp. Do not earth the Yelp. Toodle fuck.
Well, that's a little weird. Let's go back for a second. Come and door, wherever the hell that was.
Oh, this one. Yeah, that one's not. It's not an excellent episode either. But I
know. But you know what? There's some great Pauly in it. Pauly's whole thing over there was incredible.
And I generally like the interaction with him and Milfy once they figure out what's going on with the medicine, and it's like, no, flush that shit. Oh, you don't know that, and they kind of figure it out because she knows the Cusumanos. Big Girls Don't Cry is an excellent episode. That's the Furio shows up episode. The Happy Wanderer. I actually really like this episode. David Scatino. And yeah, D-Girl is my
and the scene with the scene with
there's no
with
Junior
Richie,
in it either.
with Richie and him at the end is incredible.
Yeah, I think someone said it. It might have been Killmonger earlier said this as well. I think at a certain point, once you're a fucking D-Girl, once that line gets done, it's almost like the balloon gets popped of that storyline, and then we're into the Sopranos again.
Right.
Because once Christopher shows back, once we get into the pussy putting the being a rat stuff and all that lead up, it's a lot better. I think it's a lot more focused. Okay, so our next episode that we're watching.
All right, this is all you. I'll be right back.
Yep. The next episode that we're watching is called Full Leather Jacket, which is a fun episode. Matt's gonna run and use the little girls' room. And let me read a couple fun facts for Full Leather Jacket before we start. With a runtime of 43 minutes, it's the shortest Sopranos episode ever. And the Sopranos residence address visible on Meadow's Berkeley letter is 633 Stag Trail Road, North Caldwell, New Jersey, 07006. And where when Sean gets tangled up in his own seatbelt and can't exit his car quickly, it seems to be a direct fulfillment of Livia Soprano's twisted warning to grandson AJ just one episode before on just how deadly those damn seatbelts can be. Awesome stuff. Post a link. Is that a link to the Bates Motel video that you would want me to watch? If you can, because I know you have it, definitely email me that and any information I need. I got issues, man, at gmail.com. Oh, fuck. Okay, so I'm excited to watch this episode, and on our next cast, we'll be doing From Weird to Eternity and Bust Out, and then the final one of the season, we'll be doing 3 episodes, House Arrest, The Knight in White Satin Armor, and Fun House. And potentially Matt and I might have some guests for those final 3 or the next 2, depending on scheduling. We might try to have Craig and Alan and my cousin Pete in here as well. Oh, Davey Scatino, you fucking motherfucker. So let's start this shit and get into a little bit of House Arrest. Oh no, wrong episode. Not House Arrest. I started the wrong episode, Matt. The fucking leather jacket. It's a nice jacket. It's a beautiful jacket. And let me have some technical difficulties while we well, 1 second, Matt, and we are now, here we go. There we go. Okay, so let's start this episode. Dun, dun, dun. For such a snuggle bug.
My wife says Americans just got to break bad. The depth of the characters in this
Born on the bad side. Yeah, the jacket is silly and awkward, and Tony would never wear it. I love the moment when Tony puts on the jacket. This episode, if I remember correctly, has a few iconic moments. And it's the episode where Richie starts to figure out how fucked he is.
All right, outside of Gandolfini and
Falco,
who gives the best performance in the series?
Junior.
I agree.
You almost have to cut him out of that question too, because because I think it's
I think there's a big drop off after him.
It'll be Christopher next, probably. Wouldn't you say?
Paulie's too one dimensional, but Paulie's perfect, but he's not. There's not a depth to that character like there is to Christopher.
But there's more depth than Sil.
Yeah, and he's a better actor.
Yeah, Paulie has. Sil is probably the most one-dimensional of the longtime characters.
Yeah, By a guy who's never acted before.
I love the music too, the way it starts out.
While you were sleeping, we found out Hunter's Kangaroo got into Reed College.
Sayonara.
Can't you be happy for Hunter? Reed was her first choice. She'd die if she didn't get in. Why do you always think everything has something to do with
God.
Because you didn't get in anymore. Anthony, nobody's hearing anything.
Early Meadow's infuriating.
Hunter took early acceptance, so she found out early. But that meant that she could only apply to the one college. Your sister, on the other hand, gave herself a lot of options, such as Bowdoin, Holy Cross, Georgetown.
You know that Georgetown is a total reach for me.
Oh, please, they'd be crazy not to want you.
And get in there, that means I probably can get into Berkeley.
Over my dead body.
There are more Nobel Prize winners in the San Francisco Bay Area than anywhere on the planet.
Nobel Prize for what? Packing fudge? Look, you know that you can go anywhere you want to go.
I'm sorry that we're laughing at that. It's like the dumbest joke.
Harvard or West Point. Will you make it to
The
see-
thing with Tony though is he has that, or Gandolfini has that Archie Bunker,
Well, especially because of the character.
yeah, Cartman kind of thing about him, where he's just like just talks so much shit.
Would they make that joke if they made this show today?
Yes, yes,
Because I think Tony would still make that.
yeah. Tony would still make that joke.
How can I express how little I give a fuck?
This dude's taking a shit.
Fucking renting Hank.
I get this. I get why he has to take a shit. Whenever I'm nervous about something, I always have to shit.
Get the crowbar pocket plate.
Sure, without fail, every time we're on a fucking job.
The adrenaline affects everybody different. Big pussy bump and Sarah, he started out as a cat burglar.
James, Edie, and Mick, not including JR. Mike, not including JR.
Pussy bumping Sarah, started off chipping safes like this.
Until he stepped up for Johnny Soprano during the unrest of '83.
Back then, when you did something, you got recognized.
Your time comes, you either step up.
No, there is no political correctness in the mob.
Someone's stalking us door to door.
And Christopher doesn't realize he's unwittingly telling those guys to fuck him over later, not realizing that they're going to interpret what he says. And the combination of what they hear and what Richie says to them later on trigger their stupid gene. And their stupid gene has been
same stupid gene that Jackie Jr. had.
Yep, they're almost
encouraged the same way.
Yep.
Except by Ralphie instead of him.
Was she trying to get away from us?
And Ralphie, you could almost argue, was a little bit more intentional.
Go ahead, laugh.
Like that, Ralphie likes the unrest and because when he found out about it, he was like, okay, give me money, give me points, whatever. When he realized that Jackie wanted to be in the business,
like he's a sociopath. He's crazy. Christopher doesn't usually have, ulterior motives when he's doing stuff like that.
And neither does Ralph. Neither does Richie. Richie just wants respect. Richie doesn't really want Tony to overthrow Tony per se. He just wants to give the respect he's deserved, and Richie to be treated.
He's the boss's big brother,
right?
Like
he doesn't want to be boss. I don't think Richie Richie wants that. He wants Junior to be boss and him to be Junior's number one guy,
right? Or he wants to be treated the way that the Junior probably was when Jackie was in charge, like respected by everyone else.
Hey, someone leave a cage open at Turtleback Zoo?
He also thinks he can talk to those guys like that.
Yeah, because they're shit bums to him.
You know, he may never walk again. Never say never.
Oh, Beansy.
Say never. He's a shopping cart. From here on out.
When he gets home from rehab soon, poor motherfucker. You should help him out.
Help him out?
You should build him a ramp on his house for the wheelchair. You know, you make the place, handicap accessible.
Yeah, maybe when I'm over there, I could fuck his wife.
Come on, Rich. You're a fucking captain now. And that's salute. So exert a little pressure. Call that nephew of yours, Vito, and the other one. They're in the building trades, aren't they?
Wait.
Oh, is this how Vito comes in? Oh, yeah, because Vito's part of Richie's crew. That Richie crew that Tony keeps passing around.
You're out of your fucking minds.
Don't take that attitude, Richie. Hey, you're gonna build Beansy a ramp.
I'll build a ramp up to your ass. Drive a line now.
Hey, Shadow, great to see you. And you're right, Killmonger. I'm. It's been so long since I've seen the Richie arc. I'm blanking on how it concludes. I know the final. I know what happens with him. And
Right.
James.
What We know how Richie's story ends.
But I forget how much he did maybe push for Tony to be taken out.
And I went by Rendell a couple times. You weren't home either. Really?
And doesn't Junior decide to go to Tony about it? Yeah, that's what happens. Junior makes.
I watched this recently.
Okay, so yeah, that's what happens. Junior meets Tony in the doctor's office to tell him about that Richie is a bad.
Richie goes to Junior
and is like, "Well, I want to kill Tony."
Richie goes to Junior and thinks in the back of Richie's head through this whole thing, Junior can be convinced that Tony needs to go.
Mm-hmm. So we get into this side story in the scene where Carmela starts exhibiting her pressure that she can put on people. We see this throughout the series. She gets called out on it later with the teacher that she's dating, but where she uses the pressure of the mafia, where she likes the fact of who her husband is and that she can intimidate people because of it. And this is where I say that she's so culpable in all of this. This is where I can make arguments about Skylar. I see a lot of Skylar versus.
No. Listen. If you had kids, you don't have kids. I don't have kids. You would do this for your kids. Your wife would do this for your kids. She's not doing anything that any other like suburban mom wouldn't do for their kids.
Except for with the underlining threat: if you don't do this, my husband will fuck you up.
Comes from that angle. I think
it's all from that angle with her.
No, she's asking as a neighbor, but unfortunately, their angle is underneath.
You're a Carmela apologist.
You sit here and root for Livia. She's pure evil. Like, don't
she owns it. I'm just
saying. I know a lot of moms who would do more than that.
Vito was Richie's nephew. This is new to me. Okay, I didn't even realize that too. I just knew he was part of that crew. Awesome stuff that you can pick up on any show when you rewatch it and see this, like pick up on little subtle lines here and there. Oh, this is fucking great.
What do you want? Why don't you fucking kill me, you cocksucker? For Christ's sake, what did you did to me?
Whose idea was the ramp?
A ramp.
A fucking ramp. If you need help, I'll fucking help you. You understand? You talk to me.
I don't want jack shit from you.
Okay. I'll leave. But if you go crying to Tony Soprano one more time, if you open your mouth, I'm gonna send your arms where your legs are.
Yeah, bit actors' performances on this show, I think, were some of the. I keep comparing him to Joey Pants's character as well, Ralphie, just because I think they're two of the best.
Liz, let me in. I gotta see
not one-offs, but part-time character performances that we get on the show. But yeah. I know you're not a fan of the Buscemi cameo, but then we get Phil Leotardo, that actor. I don't know his name, but
he's Sheriff Iran, yeah. No, he's great. Johnny Sack's great.
Johnny Sack is really great. We haven't really gotten into Johnny Sack. He becomes more of a main character in some level, though.
So you can dump another glass of wine in your soup and embarrass me in front of a whole restaurant? Give me the phone.
She looks great in a t-shirt, too, for fuck's sake.
I want to marry you.
What?
I mean it, Adriana. I love you. I want to marry you. Got your ring and everything.
Don't listen to him, Aid. He's been jerking you around for 3 years. You're wasting your whole youth.
Ma, shut the fuck up, Ma. Best proposal ever. Carmela's my baby. She can do what she wants, says Killmonger. Leave my baby alone.
Yeah, seriously, she can do what she wants.
I love Carmela, though.
But I said Killmonger, if Phil has this in, he has it in for Carmela.
I don't have it in for Carmela. I have an Edie Falco crush.
In his head, in Phil's head, right? She's as fucked up as Janice. And it's crazy. In Phil's head,
no, she's
Edie Falco is as screwed up as Janice in a different way.
In a different way, because not Edie Falco, Carmela.
Carmela.
Because she's a manipulator and she's not aware of it.
She's
okay. Phil, thank you for mentioning.
Go cry about Livia.
You fucking yeah.
Pussy.
I'm gonna get a fucking AJ video loop and make you watch all the best AJ scenes. Carmela does have a nice bum. Thank you, Phil, for mentioning the t-shirt. Adriana's mother's kind of hot too.
Pictures of Nigerians on the streets. So you're in on this? 10,000 units. What's Johnny Sack say about that? Fuck New York.
Well, I better run before that wife of yours gets home. Besides, I can't be seen associating with known felons.
What's your excuse for hanging out with this undesirable?
The terms of my house arrest allow me to do my grocery shopping.
Plus, I get a feeling like Junior knows how to play people a little bit better. Oh, Bobby Bacala, who's at this point wearing a fat suit, but eventually he gained that weight.
Likes to mop with his bread. It's not my fault.
But that's not a real belly. That's the fat suit.
English-speaking neighborhood. Fucking Winghead came to see me.
Wing.
Holy. So they gotta build a fucking ramp on Beansy's house. Yeah, I know.
I love how he doesn't get on this until Junior says what he says, because then he's like, "Oh shit."
Is this how you spend your time?
Junior cannot like Richie, like legitimately.
If it wasn't for Jackie. Richie, build Beansy the ramp.
Terrible accident that kid had.
Yeah, right there. That's all Richie needed to hear, because Richie, it's fucked up. It's so fucked up, dude. Richie respects Junior a billion times more than Tony. And this is his way of saying to Tony, "Okay, kid, you're okay."
What's this? What's this? It's the jacket. The jacket. The jacket.
The jacket.
Oh, yeah. Cocksucker had the toughest reputation in Essex County, but he never came back after I got
Is that our county, or is there an Essex in New Jersey too?
That'd be another one. Probably a lot of them.
It's true. There probably is a lot of.
It's your fucking jacket. You love this jacket. You and my kid brother, you would have
The
killed
jacket.
It's like a Seinfeld line.
The jacket. The jacket. The puffy shirt.
What was the belt? It was like Ronald.
That it does sound like Jerry Seinfeld in that line.
Nice jacket. It's a beautiful jacket.
It's a
But
beautiful
yours to
jacket.
have, Wife, I gotta let go of the past. Like the Tower says, you gotta shut one door before another one can open. That's it.
Take off your pants and the jacket. I love Junior. Junior doesn't have to say much. This actor, this is why Junior's one of my favorites. Like the look, the look. Yeah, it looks great, Richie.
Thanks.
And Tony not knowing how to process it. He's like, it looks awful, but this is, I guess, Richie's doing something, but it's really passive aggressive or whatever for him to just give it away. Like he shouldn't have done that. He should have just thrown it in his basement somewhere and never used it. Instead, he gives it to the cleaning woman's husband or something like that. Like something really low, thinking that Richie would never see that guy, but. Oh, so in this situation, she's just trying to protect her daughter's feelings, right? She's not trying to control the situation and get her daughter to go where she wants to go, wants her to go to college, not actually where her daughter wants to go to college, right? You know, in no way is this Carmela doing any manipulation there, right?
All right, that's a little fucked up.
It's illegal. She's breaking a federal law right there.
He said nice swag, and where's his head?
Richie was a maniac, Hannibal, like in every kind of way, an egomaniac.
Thought you said I was the man. We the man, I the man, who the man?
Are we not men?
Oh, see.
Oh, listen. Tony's cut.
Good evening, Tori.
This thing and that one, that comes out of your end, not mine. That's how it is in the beginning.
Yeah, the dues concept. We're down with that, right, Jess? Yeah.
I laid out my whole take on the diamond parade anyway.
Adriana La Serva. There's one. Booyah.
She loves me, and these are her childbearing years.
I don't see myself getting married, though. I get all the whole cake I need, and I can hire somebody to wash my dishes and iron my shirts.
Yeah, I could see that.
No more burritos if you're not working with me.
Look at this fucking place. You imagine spending day after day in here, year after year?
So Christopher is, they're doing they're breaking into, like, I don't even know where they're at. Was it like an office building or something?
Yeah, it's probably not an office building. It's probably like a
Oh, this
like
dude,
a warehouse of some sort.
this dude from Bronx Tale is in prison now.
Yeah, I said that like
Oh, you
last time he murdered someone.
Really? Like I probably said the same thing last time when you said it, and I'm gonna forget it next time.
Yeah.
Really? Oh fuck.
Right? That's correct, right? Didn't he kill someone?
Kalilo. There he is, Vito, who obviously becomes much bigger of a character later, as we'll see,
Skater.
or smaller in stature. But I mean, like, he loses a lot of weight.
And we're also supposed to alter the
Cop killer.
and wind the doorways and so on to make the house more wheelchair accessible.
Who sent you over here?
Richie April.
Richie April?
We should be done by the time Beansy's home from the hospital, Mrs. Gator.
Get out of here. I don't want anything to do with that man after what he did to Peter.
She's got her problems, but I'm not going to tell Richie this is not getting done.
So this is actually the second time that actor's been in The Sopranos. He was in an episode back in season 1.
It's so weird. Why did they do that?
I don't know. It's weird.
Richie. Sonny.
Probably they liked his performance in that episode and they wanted to bring him back, but he didn't really do anything in that episode to warrant bringing him back.
It's fucking good to meet you, Richie. My cousin Louis Gismonti worked with the prison sign shop in East Jersey State.
Oh, yeah, Lou. 5'8", about 225.
Taking him over to my Uncle Joey's lot to look at eye rocks. And,
I love how that's the way Richie thinks about everything, about how big someone is compared to him.
You know, listen, man. The attitude on that camel knows fuck. He ever lays his hand on my niece again, I'm gonna tear him apart piece by piece.
Camel nose, man, you can't make that shit up.
What the fuck are you talking about?
I just did.
You ever notice a young motherfucker who can smoke a cigarette in the rain with his hands tied behind his back? That nose is a natural canopy. You know, the kid has his good points.
Yeah, I know. I'm not saying anything against him. He's my homie.
You what?
He lives up near me.
Well, why didn't you say that? If you want to talk like a fucking Molinan now, I'll send you to Slip and Fall school.
Fellas, come on. Time's up. Let's go, huh? Richie, it was good meeting you.
If there's ever anything you can do for me, let me know.
So he's just putting his, spitting out there, throwing some shit against the wall, and just. But those guys, they hear it in a weird way.
I was in the neighborhood downtown.
Is that the same actress playing it, or are they actually twins?
Johnny, I don't know how I got into this conversation, but Carmela Soprano from next door.
So I didn't mean to rub you.
Oh yeah, that was
asked you
nice.
to write her daughter a letter of recommendation to Georgetown, the gangster's wife. I'm sorry. She just blindsided me in the backyard, and what was I supposed to say? That I'm busy, which I am. That I don't even know the girl? Come on, you met Meadow.
Yeah, I think it's the same actress, the way they're cutting the scene together.
That's not what I mean. Jeannie, you can't expect me to do this. It's just a letter. Bruce just wrote one to UVM. You do it all the time. Bring gangsters on.
Oh, I think it was he was robbing a pharmacy and it went bad. Whoa.
Spare me the elitist bullshit. They're my neighbors. Have you lost your mind?
Yeah, but I think when it went bad, someone ended up getting shot. Like that's what it meant
What do you
by
think
it.
they're gonna do?
See.
Put cement boots over a college application? It's not that. It's a question of manners. What am I supposed to say? That I'm writing a letter for someone else, which I am. A wonderful young Dominican boy from the project, with 5.2 average. I have a reputation to protect. I knew you wouldn't do it. You want to be a doormat for the rest of your life? Just deal with it, Jeannie, okay?
This is pretty awful right here.
It's really awful. And that's why I'm thinking that that's the same actress playing both roles, because it's set up almost like one of those, what are they?
They're not playing off each other at all.
What is that, one of those telephone commercials or something where it has the two actors, or are you signing up for your service? Oh, hey, Matt, what's going on, Phil? It's stupid. Yeah, there was no acting going on there. That was just an actress acting with herself. She was just playing with herself.
That's what it's all about. Friends, family. That's what I missed all those years.
You are always welcome, Richie. I hope everyone's hungry for crown roast. No, sit down. Janice, sit. Everything under control.
Janice was not getting up.
Yeah.
Well, Janice, sit.
No, Janice. She just.
Sit. All right.
Janice is horrible, but I say this a lot.
Yes, you have a thing for her too.
No, but there was no one else that could play that character against Tony. It was perfect casting.
Yeah.
Her and Gandolfini have an exceptional, as they're making fun of Tony.
Where's my knife?
I want to compliment you on your behalf.
Patty, yeah, it was a Patty Duke deja vu. You don't have to retract that, Icy Fury. I know the Patty Duke show. They look alike, they act alike, at times they even talk alike. What a crazy duet. Cause they're cousins, identical cousins. I'm sorry.
Said you could stay overnight at Hunter's, not miss Sunday dinner.
I said I'm sorry. You could have paged me. Sending me letters today?
It's right there where it always is. But go set yourself a place. We have company.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's fucked up.
Yeah, it's totally fucked up, dude. Yeah, come on. Yeah, back that truck up, Matt. Beep beep.
Hello?
Hi, it's Jean Cusamano.
Oh, hi. Hi, how are you?
Listen, Carmela, I spoke to my sister about the letter from Meadow, and she's sorry, but she just can't do it.
She can't do it. It was a very nice Dominican boy.
Well, because she already wrote a letter for someone else. A wonderful young Dominican. In the housing projects with a 5.2 average.
Now, could you give me her address so I could go down there and intimidate her with a pie?
So what does that mean? She can't send two?
Did you think about asking one of the priests at the church? A letter from Father Intintola would probably mean even more, I bet.
Yep, that's. Oh, I love the look. Oh, yep.
Good luck.
Who is that?
Nobody.
Can send to what, Mom?
It's nothing.
And then she just shows up. She didn't get the address. She finds it herself, probably through calls up Syl to find this person's address or something.
But there's a Carmela Soprano here to see you.
You're kidding.
She's not in your daytime. You want me to handle it?
Christ.
And I love this too. She doesn't wait at the door. She's already there. She's already there. Like, no.
John,
Yeah.
hi. Is this a bad time?
Always.
Yeah, no one tells Killmonger's baby no.
Regard pie with pineapples. Ah, I was in the neighborhood. My mother's foot surgeon is over here. So.
Thank you. Listen, Carmela, I think I know why you're here. My sister told me that you wanted me to write a letter to Georgetown for Fielder, is it?
Meadow.
Oh, sorry.
Fielder.
just-
Cecil Fielder.
Well, I thought you would at least want to take a look at her grades and her SAT scores and some teacher comments before you made up your mind. I think she would be a wonderful addition to the Georgetown campus.
Then I'm sure the admissions officers will see that.
Okay, so far so good. You're right, Matt. She's just doing what any parent would do.
That's just not enough these days.
I'm sorry, Carmela.
Maybe I'm wrong.
I can't do it.
I don't think you understand.
Oh.
I want you to write that letter. Excuse me?
Excuse me? Wait.
I want you to write the letter.
Okay,
Are you
just get a.
threatening me? What threatening?
What?
I brought you a regard pie and a high school transcript so you could write a letter of recommendation for my little daughter to Georgetown.
I'm an officer of the court.
A lawyer.
We have those too.
I've already written my last letter of support. for this
No, you haven't.
Well, how about this? I thought you could write a letter to Georgetown.
She's
Tell
so
them to
awesome,
discover
dude.
that Georgetown was not that person's first choice. And that, in fact, he was using Georgetown as a backup. I'm not going to tell you what to write. Oh my God, I left my mother in the car with that foot. Thanks for this.
So you don't think that's a threat? You don't think that's a manipulation, strong arm tactic?
I think it's something any mother would do. I don't know.
Any mother would do that. Any mother would.
Any mother with that clout would do it.
Right. So she's using exactly. So she's using the clout knowledgeably. She's actively using it. She's not unaware of her husband's perspective. The perspective of people of her husband.
We should go in.
I know she has a
Oh my God,
template. She
these
could
two
just send
fucking
it.
jabronis.
These perfect word, Matt. These two fucking jabronis are going.
Look at them. I'm gonna binocular it up before they go in the back room.
No, not even the back room, dude. To go into the fucking bathroom and harass him by the pissadoo. This is a no-no to any girls that might not know bathroom etiquette for guys. Talking to someone at a stall is a fucking really bad form. Unless you go
certainly talking to a mafia boss.
Unless you go into the bathroom with like you and your friend at a ball game, go into the bathroom or pissing together. But if some stranger or someone that's like kind of it, like someone you hardly know comes up to you and starts talking to you in a bathroom.
No, and if you're
live.
What you did? You made me do all the talking. You always do that. You get all quiet. You leave me hanging in the motherfucker.
No, if you're at a concert or something, while you're in line, you can talk to people
Right.
behind
In
you.
line.
Totally fine. The second you're sitting there at the
You've crossed the barrier.
urinal.
You've crossed the barrier. Yep,
You
I
could have been
agree.
talking to that person for 10 minutes straight, and you're not going to talk.
You're in a different universe. You're in a blackout. It's like Silent Sisters all of a sudden. It's like,
yeah, I've had great conversations in lines for the bathroom.
Oh, yeah.
Once I get up there,
it's done. It's done. All bets are off. Polished Gemma or subdued Cersei? I would say polished Gemma.
Relax, sit down. I'll buy you a cup of coffee.
Because both Gemma and Carmela do have a warm side to them. But Gemma's batshit crazy. Batshit crazy.
You know, I'm wearing the jacket.
It's in the car. What, you want back?
I gave Tony a jacket. I took off Rocco
If you keep thinking that, you're going to miss out on all the meet and greet people in bathrooms across America, dude. I don't know how things are. We're in Brazil, Tom. Might be at a cultural barrier here.
Hi. Hi.
Jean, hi, come on in.
Your plate. My sister said the ricotta pie was delicious, and the family loved it. She also said
Edie
that she
Falco's in
did
fucking
better
amazing shape.
transcripts, and she was knocked the fuck out by those teacher recommendations. She sat right down and wrote a terrific letter to Georgetown.
That's wonderful.
Thank you.
Do you have a copy?
No, but I'll get you one. No problem.
Thank you so much.
Especially the way she did that Killmonger. That was so bloody and crazy. It was such an intense scene.
How impressed Joan was with Meadow's transcripts?
Yeah. The fucking fear, because she knows if my sister's afraid of her. So
and if you guys who didn't see season 1, this is what Christopher was a season ago.
Yep.
With
And
this boy there. What was his friend's name? In the bathtub.
Yeah, I was.
Mikey, I think. Is one
No, it wasn't Mikey.
No, Mikey's the one that killed him.
Mikey killed him. Yeah, what was his name? His name got said on the Brendan.
Yeah, Brendan.
Brendan
Filoni or something.
Yeah, something like that. And what I kind of talked over in that scene.
What is it? Adriana in the underwear, great. This is brutal.
When they were in the bathroom, they said to Tony that they had some money for him or something like that. And even though Tony ran out of there and said why or fuck shit, they end up. He does send some guys to collect the money.
The fuck? Let him in before he kicks the door down.
Excuse me.
Fury, all right?
We are for the money.
Money.
The boss money.
Oh, the money. Okay, yeah, sure, for the show. Get a Cosmos right here.
Quella è una bella televisione. HDTV, compadre.
Non lo so, gli piace la plasma a me.
You guys want something to drink, beer, soda?
Just the money.
%, right? 7,500. It's all there.
Give me $1,000.
1,000 more?
Christopher said 10%.
$1,000.
I can't fucking believe this. You're ripping us off for Gino.
Because you're little douchebags. So this is just how the system works. When you're the underling shit bums like this, you can get away with this if you're the collectors and you just do this. Plus Furio has like no respect for these dudes.
You said do it, sono un cazzo, uno con l'altro.
What'd you say?
Have a nice day.
I like this Furio a lot more than the Furio we eventually get. The Furio that has the more Italy sensibilities, that's a real fucking tough guy and probably the toughest guy in the entire crew. They eventually make him into something very different. More of an artistic, which is all dynamics, but
he lets his hair down and becomes
and then starts playing music and dancing and
No, I have a puppy nose.
Man.
Look at that ring.
No.
If I knew it was gonna keep getting better and better, I would have asked you to marry me sooner.
Like it wasn't always good.
Oh, Adriana.
Christopher.
Oh, Christopher.
Nothing. Just leave my friend.
Aw. The character of Adriana is just so damn cute. That's what makes what happens to her so effective emotionally for people. Because she really is. I mean,
It's also the scene you dislike Sylvia in the most in the whole series.
Yeah,
that moment you're like, no, Syl.
No, so in the switch turns on him and he becomes an asshole in that moment.
Says that word to her.
Yeah, that's maybe his best performance. One of his best performances.
I don't communicate my needs.
You can see him when he's driving up there being conflicted by it when you know what's happening.
But I don't think he really is at the end. When it comes time to do it, he's old school enough that that's just what you have to do.
Yeah, that's what you do to a rat. His only chance, Killmonger, was to have thrown Tony's head into the airplane thing. Like his only chance for that to have worked, for it to work out with Carmela in any situation. Carmela,
no, but it wouldn't. It's not like he's not going to be killed.
No, and it's not like Carmela isn't. One thing that we see throughout the series is Carmela's a time bomb. She wants to cheat on Tony, and she wants Tony to find out about it. That's her goal about it.
Yeah, but who's willing to be that guy?
The priest? No, but I mean that's her first try, and then it's somebody. It's that contractor guy, and then it's Furio,
the English teacher.
The English teacher, but she's already broken up with Tony at that point.
Right.
But I'm talking about the people she tries like while she's in the relationship, and I think it's not because she wants to fall in love with someone else. She wants to.
It's ironic how
to hit Tony back.
I go wherever I go, where I went. Here we are back when we started 20 years ago.
I believe Richie about that. He really does love Janice as much as that causes his death in a few episodes from now. He really does love Janice.
Sure, go right ahead.
Exactly. Kill Tony or get killed or get killed. Yep. And get killed or get killed. Those were his two choices. And instead he ran. Oh, fuck.
Hello, Mrs. Thank you for TV.
Oh, Stasha, please enjoy.
That look. And then he just starts freaking out.
In Poland, he was a mechanical engineer. Here, he's driving a cab. Richie, what's the matter? You all right?
He knows there's a dead man walking right now. Good music choice in this scene and good transition to a tit, but you really feel for Richie, and then this happens.
Where is he? He's always here.
Things are about to get technically difficult for Christopher.
This is fucked. What? Yes, us. Look at us. We're like two fucking scared actors or something. Douchebags. Don't say that. Sean, for Christ's sake, go to reality. We are nowhere. Buy a fish, poaching fish.
How long have you been doing it?
For what? We're just getting started. That's what you do. We got stockbroker licenses. I want to pay college.
Oh yeah, well, Bistic's already happened, right?
Yep. I mean, these guys, they've been setting up this story with these guys for a long time.
Right.
It makes sense in a way that I don't think it always rationalizes to me with Jackie Jr. But
Look at the money they waste on these CD-ROMs. Mind Spring, Earthlink, what exactly? I don't know.
CD-ROMs
There were clothes
are
deep on the floor.
out of touch soprano line of the episode.
Don't exaggerate. Wet. It was starting to smell.
It's my room, and if I want it like that, that's the way I want it. I don't bitch you out about your room.
Oh.
Your room
Oh,
is
yeah.
My house, and as long as you live in my house, there are going to be limits.
Well, I won't be here for long. I'm 18 years old. I'm going to college.
But just leave.
It's like what Killmonger says. Hey, to move up. Let's kill Chris, the boss's nephew. That'll work. That's smart.
Yeah.
You know what? You're right. You are right. You can take care of yourself. Thank you. You're going to be going off all on your own to a wonderful college. What right do I have to interfere?
Okay. So see, she knows. She's like, I'm smarter than you, Mom. What's your game? I like that. And I like that Meadow is smarter. And that's something that definitely gets...
She is by far the smartest one in the family.
Meadow? Yeah, I agree too. Because she has Tony's tactics, and then she has like book smart, and that Carmela has, that you find out throughout the series that Carmela could have gone a lot of directions because she did well in school.
Yeah, like Adriana only had one direction.
Yeah. This. She also is a fan of One Direction. No, it's bad. Sorry.
Gave my daughter a car. Yeah.
She's had the best day ever.
You know, a 92 Pathfinder. So the thing is, it belonged to a friend of hers.
So this gets brought back
on this episode at all so far.
Because of a debt incurred to me by the kid's father.
Yeah.
I just like to say
Hannibal says, I used to hate Meadow.
A nice, safe car.
Yeah, but do you remember when they tried to make Meadow replace Adriana as like
the hot girl? Yeah,
the hot girl.
It was in the later half when she starts dating Patsy's kid.
Patsy's kid? Who does Patsy?
Patsy Parisi's kid. She starts at the end of the series, like ends with her dating the Parisi kid. No, isn't that his name?
Probably. I don't even remember that.
Yeah, she's like gonna marry him and stuff.
What is this, like post Finn?
Yes, post Finn.
This Finn is up through the reader.
Her way coming back into the family a little bit.
But this kid's father, he's a fucking degenerate.
I think it's interesting that
but he's also a respected businessman in the community and everything that goes on.
They have this in this episode.
Yeah, I forgot about this.
From 2 episodes ago.
Yeah.
So it becomes my fault that he lost his kid's car? I mean, I gotta look out for him because he's a sick bastard?
Right, like you almost would have thought that it was like a one-off. We'd never hear from it again.
Right, and it's like instead we have D-Girl, and then they're coming back to this now. It's interesting.
That's eating him something then.
Maybe that's what you were saying to your daughter.
What?
By giving her the SUV, wanting her to confront some of these moral ambiguities.
Yeah, Carl was a rat. Patsy was the dude that pissed in the Soprano pool. Because Tony killed his brother.
But he doesn't know Tony killed his brother. They think he might have killed his brother.
Right, so he passively, drunkly wanders into the Soprano yard and pisses in the pool.
For reality, teaching her to fly.
You people are something. I give my little daughter a car to rub her face in shit. And you're telling me I did something noble?
We're getting to something here.
It's interesting that he admits that he did it just to rub her face in it.
Time's up.
Look, we still have time and we're doing good work. What? You feel you're cured?
Fine. I'll sit here. But I got nothing else to say.
Like an infant. Just
I'll stay. Where? And this just happens right away. This gets fucked up.
I'm supposed to go all the way over there to check.
I remember watching this for the first time and just not expecting this at all.
What's up? Hey, what's up, man?
Like, how in fuck did they think this was a good idea? Oh, see, he gets trapped in the seatbelt. Sorry, man, I made it weird. Should have listened to. There's Livia's.
Richie.
And then he goes to Richie.
You know what happened to Christopher Montesanti?
Yeah, somebody blew him up.
Yeah, it was us, me and Sean.
What? You?
Sean is fucking dead. Christopher killed him.
What the fuck are you doing here?
We did it for you as a favor.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Favor?
You don't like him.
So what?
He hit your niece.
Jesus, are you fucking crazy? That's all I need now.
Floaty.
Like to face ungrateful fuck to think I had any part of this.
You gotta help him, man.
I'll fucking help you.
You gotta hide me. I'm with you now.
Who told you to do that? Get out of here, you dumb fuck! I'll kill you.
He should have. You got to go to Tony right now, Richie. Fucking idiot. Fucking idiot. And we saw in this episode, I didn't realize it was just that little. I thought Richie said even more to him. He didn't say.
No. He just mentioned, if he ever puts his hands on my niece again.
And that's the end of that episode of The Sopranos, Matt. Fucking crazy.
I can't imagine. See, when I watched this, I only watched the last maybe season and a half to 2 seasons live. So I got to just go through this. I can't imagine seeing that live and not knowing what the hell happened.
Right. And having to wait a whole week.
Oh my God. I can't imagine that. That sounds...
It's awful, but hope you guys enjoyed watching these episodes with us. Matt and I will be back in a couple of weeks, 2-3 weeks or something like that, to do the next 2 episodes, probably right before I go off for Con of Thrones. And then sometime when we get back after Matt's out of school at the end of June, we'll do the final 3 episodes of season 2, and then we'll
get a whole crew together.
Yeah, we'll get a crew together for the final 3 episodes, and then we'll start getting into season 3 stuff and sort of try to catch up where Matt is in the series. So,
yeah, I don't know. I don't even watch it regularly. Every once in a while, I just decide I'm going to watch an episode.
Tom himself says those episodes fly by. It must be high. Meadow can't parallel park. Yes, we learned about that in the final episode as well. My boy Christopher got that birder away. It saved his life. Those episodes fly by fast. They're incredibly fast. And that episode, as I mentioned earlier, is the shortest of all the Soprano episodes. So before we end things officially, I'm going to go back.
We're going to end stuff for the Sopranos, guys.
Yeah, we're ending things for the Sopranos. So if you're here for a Sopranos discussion, thank you so much. What we're going to do is change things up a little bit and talk about something else. Talk about the Andre the Giant documentary. But give me a second to set it up. I'm going to mute it and put it on in the background while we talk about it. And it's because HBO just recently put out like 3 pretty good documentaries, depending if you're interested in the subject. The Gary Shandling one, which is a 2-parter that's really well done. The Andre the Giant one, and the Elvis one just came out yesterday too, which is pretty good if you're into Elvis. So let me restart this and mute it because I want to cut.
I have a lot to say about this. Actually.
Yeah, I want to cut this part of the video out or post it separately. So it might be double posted. It might be posted here, and then you guys who are watching this might see me cut this section out and post it somewhere else. This doesn't look like Andre the Giant. This looks like Westworld. But okay, so here we go. I'll start it. Welcome back, everyone, to Phil's Recap or Review. Hey, we're back. Oh, we're sitting here at the couch in here today. We just did a Sopranos live watch. A lot of fun. We have with us the live motherfucking chat. And today we're going to talk about the Andre the Giant documentary that just got released on HBO. It's a 1-part documentary. HBO just released 3 separate documentaries, an Elvis one, a Gary Shandling one, and the Andre the Giant one, all basically close in time. And the Andre the Giant one is 1 part. And okay, I don't even know where to start with this, but for overall base, if you don't know who Andre the Giant is and you're not a wrestling fan, the thing that you'll probably most know him from is he plays Fezzik in The Princess Bride. That does get talked about here. They interview Billy Crystal and what's his name?
Carl Reiner.
Yeah, the director.
No, Rob Reiner.
Rob Reiner.
Not Carl Reiner.
Yeah,
Carl
Reiner's his dad. Yeah, Rob Reiner.
Meathead.
Meathead. Yeah, I was gonna say Meathead, but I guess he'll always become.
And they interview what's her name? I think all of the other main actors in it get interviewed, don't they?
Oh yeah, they interview
Mandy Patinkin a little bit.
No Mandy Patinkin and no Inconceivable, but they do Claire Underwood. Yeah, they interview Claire Underwood as well. It gets talked about.
Robin Wright, isn't that her name?
Yeah, Robin Wright, Penn. It was Penn, but Robin Wright. So it's a documentary about Andre the Giant's life in wrestling and his career. It does omit some things, and we're going to get into this and break it down a little bit. But overall, my overall thoughts about it was really awesome. It filled me with a good nostalgic feeling of Andre the Giant. If you've never don't really know anything about his life or who he was or what he was, I think it serves as a good documentary to kind of just give you a lot of the bold points of his career and his story. So I couldn't recommend it enough. And I guess that's a very short review.
And Phil and I were the right age that when we were in elementary school, around wrestling watching age when the WWF became a thing and started existing in the universe. We were the perfect age. We were the kids that were like into it and like loved it right when it became a thing. And Andre the Giant was one of the people that was like, I guess, but we're like almost too young to remember him before the WWF, but know that he was like a household or the closest thing to like a superstar in wrestling before the WWF became like a nationally televised
because
thing.
we started to be into the wrestling thing around WrestleMania 1.
Yeah, like I don't remember much. I don't remember like ever watching wrestling before Hulk Hogan. That I don't remember.
The first real wrestling. I mean, I watched it a little bit when I was a kid, going to the wrestling matches and stuff. Early
I used
on.
to watch with my father on the weekends when I was like probably third and fourth.
Yeah,
Fourth grade.
In fact, when I first met Matt, he was referred to himself as King Kong Kane,
who was in WrestleMania
2 and fought Hulk Hogan in the steel cage match,
which I remember watching live. Like that's just the age we were that I would.
The
like, you
three-part. It was 3 separate locations. You also had the Chicago Bears in the Battle Royal in WrestleMania 2, and Roddy Piper fought Mr. T in a boxing match in WrestleMania 2, and those were the 3 headlining cards on the 3 different locations. So the Andre the Giant documentary takes you through his early years where he bounced around, what is
starting his life in France, like he wrestled all throughout Europe, and then the money was over here.
So ultimately, it's a really well-made documentary. It does miss some points here and there.
It romanticizes him a lot too, though. There's a lot of stuff that's like they're making him probably much bigger and more grand than he actually was, as far as like how he wasn't flawed as I don't know. It seemed very romanticized.
And you hit on something as well. I'm not saying this is a problem with the documentary, but it definitely focuses a lot on, Broke said it in the chat right now, on WrestleMania 3 and the battle between Hogan and Andre. It focuses everything around that. So Hogan, and you were talking about it too, it's hard not to talk about this era of wrestling without talking about Hogan. But in a weird way, this documentary serves as 75% an Andre the Giant documentary and a 25% Hulk Hogan documentary.
Which isn't a bad thing. Like I don't even think that's a bad thing.
No,
I love seeing
but it's a thing though. Wouldn't you agree that
it's definitely a thing?
Wouldn't you agree that it's a
they talk about the like him becoming Hulk Hogan and how big of a deal it was, and spend a lot of time around him becoming that.
And how Andre was Hulk Hogan before Hulk Hogan was Hulk Hogan. And when Andre got hurt and had to leave wrestling for a little while, that's right at the time that Vince McMahon Jr. took over the business and started to go this world domination thing, and used Hogan as the...
Hogan was the perfect person for
perfect person.
Andre the Giant couldn't have done that because he's so awkward.
Yeah, he couldn't talk. He couldn't talk like that. Right. As a kid, Andre was larger than life, larger than a life villain. Randy Orton, Roddy Piper's dad. That became the Attitude Era. Oh, so when Vince McMahon was running shit because he did WrestleMania. Yeah, that's basically the tentpole moment of Vince McMahon taking over wrestling, WrestleMania. And the first WrestleMania, which was a tag team match as the headlining thing with Mr. T and Hulk Hogan facing off against, I forget who they faced off against. I think it was like Paul Orndorff and some other non-wrestler or something. But WrestleMania 2 was almost there, but WrestleMania 3 was his grand opus. And I could be a little bit wrong about the when the conversion happened, but I believe the point that when the conversion happened is when Hulk beat Iron Sheik for the championship. That was they set that up, and I remember that.
And they tell the story though how the way that they started the WWF is he went around and he grabbed like the 2 best guys from each of the biggest divisions of wrestling. And if you don't know anything about Andre the Giant, because they're showing this now, him being a kid, he has, I don't know what the exact disease is called, but essentially he has way too much of like, is it pituitary gland? It's a form of like gigantism.
Yeah, they're actually, it's megagalaglia or something like that. It's omega. It's something like that.
It's like embarrassing that we don't know, but I don't know what it is. So but it shows him when he's younger, when he's like 19 and 20. He's actually very athletic wrestling with these guys in France.
Yeah, and he's thin. He looks a little bit more.
He has like actual wrestling moves besides just being some like massive thing.
And he just kept gaining weight and get bigger and bigger and bigger. His bones. They talk about at one point in time how his ankle bone is as big as like most people's knee bones and stuff like that. So.
And you see his hands next to like grown men, like next to Mean Gene Oakland. So it's
Mean Gene. Mean Gene's one of my favorite people that they interview for this. They interview a lot of people that they talk that mainly frame the documentary. But the main people that they talk to throughout is Hogan, Vince McMahon, and and who's the other one? And Mean Gene. Ric Flair's there 1 or 2 times just to pop in.
He's funny though. He tells some crazy stories.
Yeah, when they come in with when they start talking about Andre with girls, and Flair's there. One of my favorite little small parts in it is I love how they talk about Andre not liking certain wrestlers and how he doesn't like Macho Man.
Oh man, when he used to beat on Macho Man and beat on Big John Studd.
And Hogan starts doing a Macho Man impression. He's like, "Oh, you know what, brother?" And you could just see, he becomes Macho Man for a second. It's really funny stuff. Hogan is awesome in the documentary, and you can see how you see more Terry rather than Hulk Hogan, and you see him as how neurotic he was. And Andre used to like to fuck with him a little bit, and especially in the WrestleMania 3 match. But a lot of it, Matt, you're right, is glorified and
well, they're saying he was a household name. Like, I don't know that Andre the Giant was a household name at some point, like in the 70s, where everyone knew who he was, and they sort of act like he was that. And I don't know if he's as big of a deal to the world as they're making it say. He's a big deal to us because we were the right age to like.
We were the generation.
So, all right, I was at a bar on Saturday up in Maine, and up above the bar, they had, it's like a hipster bar, so they have, like this old toy truck, and on top of it is the Andre the Giant with his hands like this and the blue trunks, that action figure. And like I owned that thing when I was a kid, and it's just like, so to us, like I owned an action figure of this guy. Like he's a big deal to me. I just don't know if he's as big of a deal to everyone as this thing tried to make it.
Right. And is it just that he's that in the wrestling world?
Right. We own the action figure. Like we of that person.
We were
us. It's like that.
This was our era that every year we get these pay-per-views, go to the wrestling matches.
Would my mom know who he was if I didn't watch wrestling? Probably not. Like that's the thing. I don't know.
Maybe if she saw The Princess Bride.
Exactly. She known from The Princess Bride. You're right. That's how she knows him. She actually, I know she's seen that movie.
And so it is interesting, and it's I'm biased because of it, similar to Matt, because of what he's saying, that we grew up in that era. And
I don't watch wrestling. I haven't watched wrestling in 30 years, but like
that era we watched.
That's when I was in.
The last time I watched wrestling was the NWO era. For me, it was like after the Ultimate Warrior. I never really watched. That's something that they don't get into in this documentary towards the end. The one thing, if we're talking about, because we talk about a lot of the good things in the documentary, it does romanticize Andre, but that's fine. The beginning half, it's really good. It spells up and gets to that point with WrestleMania 3, where I feel like the documentary doesn't go in as much depth as they could have, is after WrestleMania 3, before the end of his career when he died, because he was in WrestleMania 4, he was in WrestleMania 5, and
they
WrestleMania
almost
6.
act like WrestleMania 3 was it, and then you only saw him on crutches after that.
Yeah, and it wasn't like that. It was a long time. He had you were talking about the Ultimate Warrior. He had that rivalry with the Ultimate Warrior for a while.
Yeah, see, I don't even remember that. The things I remember watching live him body slam Big John Studd. I remember watching that as a kid. And, they tell the story about him running after Big John Studd and Big John Studd saying he's going to kill me, and he runs out of there. But the way this thing actually went down, as I remember seeing it, is that there was like a $50,000 or $10,000 bounty if he could body slam Big John Studd, and he did. And so there was an actual bag with $50,000 worth of cash, and Andre the Giant started throwing it out to the crowd.
Oh, I remember that. Now you say that, I totally remember that.
He was throwing it out to the crowd, and then Big John Studd ran and grabbed the bag and ran out of the stage. He grabbed the bag away from him.
Was that in a Saturday Night Main Event or something?
Probably. I don't remember. I just remember that being a big deal when I was a kid, and I remember watching it. So that was a big deal. Big John Studd had never been body slammed before.
One of my favorite points in this documentary is obviously is everything to do with WrestleMania 3, because I feel like that's when they go in the most depth, that in Andre's life.
And who are these guys that are wrestling historians? Oh, Jerry Lawler.
Jerry Lawler. But that other guy's a comedian.
Is he?
I think
he's a wrestling historian.
Yeah, whatever. You're not a wrestling historian. Shut the fuck up. But is the moment where we go to Piper's Pit, and you see in that moment how much star power is on that stage. You have literally my favorite people in wrestling all on stage at the same time. You have Hulk Hogan, which at the time I love Hulk Hogan, but who I was a real fan of at that time was Roddy Piper. Yeah. You have Roddy Piper there.
I saw WF one time, and I saw Roddy.
Oh, he's the fucking best. He was the fucking best. And then you have the next fucking best. I don't care what he became later. But fucking Jesse the Body Ventura as a wrestler was one of the, and as a color commentator with him.
It was him and Mean Gene.
Him and Gorilla Monsoon.
Yeah. You're right.
Mean
Gene was doing the
and eventually you replaced him with the other guy that was on stage who was almost as good, who was just as good in his own way, just a different thing. I just really like Jesse the Body, Bobby the Brain Heenan. So then you have Bobby the Brain Heenan on stage as well.
Right.
So you have fucking Roddy Piper, Bobby the Brain Heenan, and fucking and
Hulk Hogan
all on stage. And Andre the Giant all on stage at the same time. It's fucking great. Jesse the Body Ventura had one of my favorite his wrestling quotes is "Win if you can, lose if you must, but always cheat." I love that. I love Jesse.
So one of the things I remember about the documentary that was great was how they were, especially in the age of Hulk Hogan, when everyone had some sort of gimmick and some sort of shtick where they had to have an outfit. You could just put, because of his size, they just throw him out there in blue trunks, like old school, like just him in the speed.
Yeah.
That's like, there's your gimmick. You don't need anything else. You don't need to be Roddy Piper in a kilt or Hulk Hogan ripping the shirt off or Junkyard Dog or any other nonsense. Superfly Snuka. Like, look at that. I don't know. It's blue trunks and like a Han Solo vest with frills on it.
With the big goofy smile on his face. And
going over the top rope.
I don't know, like Vince McMahon creeps me out sometimes in this documentary. He reminds me of Mr. Burns at times when he talks.
Reminds you exactly of how you would expect Vince McMahon to be.
Exactly. Like in this documentary, everything you imagine about Vince McMahon, if we're in a situation where whatever you want to think about, like Mean Gene, Hulk Hogan, they're being Terry and Gene Okerlund or whatever. They're trying to be as much. Some of their wrestling moments pop up, and Ric Flair's just fucking crazy in a good way. So Ric Flair's just being Ric Flair.
Yeah.
Woo, baby. Oh, you should have seen it. He's got 16 size foot and a fucking huge hand.
Right.
That's all you need to know, baby. You know, like that's Ric Flair, big Ric Flair. But Vince McMahon, if he's being genuinely Vince McMahon, he is one creepy, evil fuck. Like it's just awful. He reminds me of an 80s bad guy villain that's half machine, half man.
Yeah.
He speaks in this grovelly voice. Yeah, Andre came into my office and
then he says it's so stone-faced then. Yeah, maybe he thought that we used him or anything else. Because no, Andre was special.
Andre came into my office and said he's done, but he didn't mean he was done with wrestling. He meant he's done living. So I talked him to come back to wrestling. No, he was trying to quit, and you manipulated him back into wrestling.
Right. You're Don King and he's Muhammad Ali, and you brought him back just for one more concussion
to fight Larry Holmes.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
I mean, give me a
like
fucking
the guy
break.
shouldn't be in boxing anymore.
Vince McMahon is to me comes off, and I don't know what he's really like, and I don't know if he's playing into his character in this documentary or whatever. I don't know what the real Vince McMahon is like, but Vince McMahon comes off to me in this documentary as, we were talking about manipulators earlier, just as this incredible manipulation person that did a number on Andre,
but also comes across as brilliant.
Oh yeah,
Is.
Which you have to be if he had a vision, he saw something, especially at the beginning. And I think early Vince McMahon, when he just serviced himself in the narrative as just an announcer, I think he was really great. Where I sort of started rolling my eyes is when he started getting into the ring a little bit and started to become
ridiculous,
more part of the narrative.
But he's still doing it 30 years later, which is what's crazy.
Yeah,
they're still like the only game in town at this point.
And the fucking XFL's coming back.
Oh my god, that's the worst.
It's fucking the worst, dude.
How do you not learn your lesson?
The only thing I like about the XFL is I like how they did the coin flip, where they just throw the ball and do the fumble recovery drill.
I don't even remember it. I remember I watched like one game.
The only thing I liked about it is that instead of a coin flip, what they did was a fumble recovery drill. But anyways,
I also think it's almost not fair that he's next to these other massive human beings whenever you see him. It's like when you watch someone in the NBA and my students all say, oh my God, mister, Allen Iverson was so shorter, or Steph Curry's tiny. And I go, guys, he's 2 inches taller than me, and I'm towering over all of them. Where he's up against guys who are all over 6 feet tall and jacked, and he's still the biggest
guy. And I know they've said,
I love that show and talking about how he was like an alpha in the room too. How he didn't like anyone trying to one up him, like when Big John Studd would step over the thing, like that's his move.
That made him hate. He also didn't like props. He didn't like Jake the Snake. There's a couple people he said he didn't like. And when he really wanted to fuck you up, and people like Hogan, who are egomaniacs, are saying things like, he was stronger than I was. He was stronger than all of us. He was bigger than all of us. He kept us all in line. Any tough guys that came in the ring, and I love how they show Sid Vicious in that moment when they say any tough guys Andre would take care of. They just show him beating the shit out of people that thought they were tough.
And they talk about how they needed Andre to buy into what was supposed to happen, because you can't just like make him do what you want in the ring. Like he has to say, okay, I'm going to allow this to happen to me right now. I'm going to allow myself to get slammed. Because at the end of the day, if he decides that's not going to happen, you're not going to physically be able to do that to him.
Yeah. And it's at the time, yes, we were of the Hulk Hogan era, but Andre was one of those people that we definitely talk about. There's a point in this documentary where they get into Andre's heel turn and where I
remember that being a big deal when I was a kid.
I'm just going to say that this guy, we were talking about how they overblow things in this documentary to a certain standpoint and over dramatize it. But the dude, the comedian or the wrestling historian guy, he's the one that gets into this. And it's true. At the time that shit happened, we were having discussions in school like it was Ali and Frazier.
Yeah.
How the hell is that going to work?
Yeah.
How's Andre?
Andre the Giant is a heel. Like that was.
But Hogan shakes his head and does that thing. Like I don't understand who's going to win. Who's going to win?
Right.
How are they going? Like what's going to happen? This is fucking crazy, dude. Like Andre's so huge. I remember at the time thinking, no, Andre can't lose. They got to have Andre win.
And one thing that happened because Andre turned heel is that actually made it believable after that. Like believable in a wrestling sense.
In a wrestling sense, yeah.
That anyone could turn heel. So when like Hogan did that years later, when he was like a bad guy with
Hollywood Hulk Hogan, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, well, Andre the Giant, who was always just, there was nothing bad about him. He was already like the elder statesman by the time we were into wrestling and had been doing it forever. If he could turn heel, anyone could.
And I know they play it up on this
and now there's not heels and there's no like, it's not that binary now. And in modern day wrestling,
in 80s wrestling, it was Cobra, G.I. Joe and Cobra. You had
you were on one side or the other. There was a good and a bad. There was a dark and a light, and like those were well defined things. You could flip flop, but like when you were on one, you were pure evil, and the other one was like all good.
And you had people that maybe crossed over sometime, but it was ultimately set in stone.
Yeah. Then you'd have your Han Solo that was like a rogue guy that did whatever he wanted, but for the most part, there was a good.
I mean, there was a fucking cartoon, for Christ's sake, that was all about the Pro Star. The Pro Star, not the Pro Stars, the Wrestling Superstars cartoon series, and Andre was in that as well. But I remember as a kid, Andre definitely was on the list of some of my favorite wrestlers, him and Piper, and he was a big deal. And they get into the Princess Bride thing, and I didn't realize how much pain in all of that he was in during the Princess Bride movie.
Oh, where they couldn't.
We couldn't catch her and stuff.
You see him throwing around men, that way more than I do in his career, and he had to catch this 100-pound woman. That
he couldn't catch her. He couldn't wrestle with the Dread Pirate Roberts.
Jerry Lawler was hairy, huh?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Gross.
And Jerry Lawler's in this documentary.
Yeah,
as well.
But see, for us, he was more in. There were three. There was the
I don't even remember him as a kid.
NWA and the AWA when we were kids, and the only one we ever watched was the WWF because that was on up.
It was the Northeast,
anyways.
Yep.
So that's all we ever saw. So he was in either the AWA or the NWA, as was Ric Flair. He was in one of those.
But Ric Flair was popular enough that I had heard of Ric Flair.
And then he came over afterwards as well.
But I had heard Ric Flair was the one wrestler in other groups that I had heard of.
Because he was physically just but he was in one of those.
But when I get wrestling magazines and they'd have a list of the top NWA, 5 wrestlers,
the WWF, right, and the AWF,
and then they'd have one list where it was the top 5 wrestlers in the world, and 4 of them would be WWF wrestlers, right, and one of them would be Ric Flair.
Exactly.
Ric Flair would be number 2. Yep. It would be Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair, Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair.
And then the Von Erichs would be somewhere down the bottom of it, and Lawler was in there.
And Lawler was in there too. So I didn't see a lot of those guys till they came to the WWF, and with what's his name there, I didn't know him until he came to WWF as Jerry the King Lawler.
Right.
And he came in with his whole I'm the king shit. And I didn't really, because even as a kid, I was unaware of Andy Kaufman's stuff in wrestling. I only knew Andy Kaufman as Laka, and then watching some of his Saturday Night Live and some of his stand-up stuff.
Because again, what we didn't realize at the time was we were default WWF because it was Northeast anyway.
Right. So
when it became the national thing, it was already all we were exposed to in the Northeast anyway.
We were ignorant to the rest of the country's wrestling stories and stuff.
Like 7, so like what the fuck did we know anyways?
Yeah. Hey,
we were little kids, so we didn't understand it anyways. But like you said, you'd get a magazine and you'd see the list of all his wrestlers, and you're like, so you knew there were other people. It just wasn't what you watched.
And some of them would eventually show up in wrestling, but that early era of the WWF had some of. I'm just biased to it.
Junkyard Dog and Jimmy Snuka and and Iron Sheik and Nikolai Volkov and
then the
Duggan,
and then the tag
Sergeant
teams.
Slaughter.
Eventually, you had Demolition, the Heart Foundation, and even as we go, some people are saying to get into that later time, you had the Rockers as I saw Shawn Michaels.
Honky Tonk Man, Jake the Snake Roberts.
Honky Tonk Man was great. I love
the Snake Roberts.
Do you remember?
He would bring the snake out and put it on people.
Do you remember Saturday night or one of the Saturday Night Slams when Jake the Snake Roberts, speaking of which, hit the Macho Man in the head with his guitar and like shattered the guitar all over the stage and stuff, and how big of a deal it was?
Yeah,
the Macho Man was one of the people that would go back and forth. Macho, you were talking. I was thinking about who the gray character was and how I could explain him. Macho Man was clearly a great. Sometimes he'd be a good guy, sometimes he'd be a bad guy, depending on the narrative.
He just worked well with both of them.
Yeah, he did because he could play both things.
Lanny Poffo,
who's Macho Man's brother.
Yes,
and he used to throw out frisbees with poems at to the audience and stuff. It's so fucking
gimmicks
awful.
that used to happen in the 80s. Bruno Sammartino, he had a son that wrestled.
Frank Sammartino.
One of them. One was the dad. One was the son. And you know.
And then Bruno was the one. You were saying the Ultimate Warrior. I remember the Ultimate Warrior came in and Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior faced off in the ring after a battle royal. But then we had
Ultimate Warrior was so jacked.
One of my favorite storylines they ever did in the WWF back in that day was the storyline when Hogan lost his championship belt. And Iron Sheik, you jabroni. If you're not following the Iron Sheik on Twitter, do it. If you're a wrestling fan, but when Hogan lost his belt and the $1 Million Man orchestrated it all to get that giant tournament to see who would win the WWF championship belt. And they had this big round robin tournament where Hogan lost early in the fight. Eventually it led to Macho Man winning the title and the whole thing. It was
I don't even remember it, but no, I know like it and then Virgil.
It might have been on one of the early SummerSlams or something like that. It might have been that particular event, but it was a really great age of wrestling. And I think what this documentary made me want, because I love Andre the Giant, and I think he's one of my favorite characters from that era. He'd be in the handful, but he's not my single favorite. And I do think
Big John Studd.
I love Big John Studd, and I do think the era of wrestling is big enough that I wouldn't mind a 5-part documentary series by HBO on several
the birth of the WWF, and do like an episode or two before it, and then the changeover, and then lead it up through NWO coming out and then stopping.
Because
not NWO, was the other one? The
WCW. Yeah, and ended with all of that because it's the same wrestlers that ended up in the WCW, some as heels when they flipped it over when they jumped ship from Vince in that point in time. Or I just think there's enough there to mine from. And in this documentary, when they start to get into that stuff, it's good. But I think at times it could take away from more information that they could have put in about just Andre and kept this to just Andre and have that just be. And then the Hogan era comes in, but we'll get to that later. And have that be almost like
some of the other people that were that made the transition from the old thing there. You saw clips of George the Animal Steele, and he was a WWF early on.
Piper's another one. So I want to learn more about Piper's and I know there's other documentaries about that, but I like how HBO.
We want the Ken Burns version.
Yeah,
like that level of depth.
Exactly. I want the HBO. I want the HBO documentary version, a 5-part, 10-part documentary series about the birth of the WWF and the Hogan era, and just all be about that. And I don't want Vince to be the guy making the document. People can say, "Oh, I'm sure Vince has done it." I don't want Vince to be the guy making the documentary. I want someone else to be the person talking about him. And in his egocentric nature, won't let them not do it. He'll give them ultimate access because, it's attention and I become more of a legend because of it. Yeah.
Well, I think the biggest difference between wrestling when we were kids and now is when we were kids, we actually had debates about the legitimacy of wrestling.
Yes.
And whether or not it was real, how much of it was real. Whereas eventually that big shift became to everyone knows it's not real.
Yeah. And it took the wrestling now exists in a world that everyone knows it's fake and no one really cares.
Right.
And we didn't quite in the era that you're right. Cause in the era that we were into wrestling, there was still minor mystique in the sense of, is it real or is it not real? Most people thought it was fake. We weren't idiots, but there was some element of, especially with like an Andre Hogan fight, they were so good at pulling it off in some ways. And I was so young and delusional. I'd love to talk to younger kids right now that are into wrestling and see if they think it's real. Like I'm talking about like 7 to 13-year-olds or something like that. Like when you're a little bit more rationalized.
Now,
But
are as many kids into wrestling? I don't think they are.
more adults into wrestling these days? Because wrestling is more popular than ever.
You think so?
It's hugely
Well,
popular.
we're also in the Northeast. We're in like the least popular place it would be. I mean, that's like.
But
NASCAR.
wrestling,
It's gonna be
wrestling is huge. People in the live chat right now have been talking about now wrestling. Like wrestling now is pretty huge. I have a couple of friends that are.
It's so weird because to me, I wouldn't think it could possibly be as big as it was in the '80s. But again,
It doesn't have.
We were of the age. We were the consumers, the perfect consumers.
It's just a different era now where you have enough people into things that it has its isolated audience. I don't think it's mainstream the way it was in the 80s, but I do think its numbers are still doing really well, personally.
Well, I think there is more crossover. Like John Cena, everyone knows who John Cena is. He's in movies, he's in commercials, and like The Rock is obviously an international star.
Sorry guys, I did not jump into the chat. So let me jump in the chat. Let's see.
Phil and I are lame. I don't know who any of these people are.
Yeah, if Vince is doing it all for the horror tales and shit won't be sad. I like Vince more than Trump. The fighting is fake, but the stunts and shit is still dangerous considering the delay. I'm pretty sure Phil didn't read my comment. Which comment was it? The fights look so fake though. I think the Undertaker.
Paul Q yelling out Hacksaw. So listen, about a month and a half ago, Hacksaw Jim Duggan came to the town next to us, and I called Phil up to be like, "Do you believe this is happening?" Because when we were kids, was such a big deal.
Brooke says, yes, kids still watch it. Look at the live events. And when I tutor kids and after school kids are still into it. Killmonger, I don't watch anymore. I watch old segments. I have a big affinity for this era of wrestling. And even further, it's more that it's like I'm always saying on the show. It's the characters more than the wrestling.
Yeah, but if you didn't go through it, if someone was trying to sell it to you now as a grown man, you'd have no interest in it. It just means something to you. It's the most
I do like soap operas, though.
nostalgic thing in the world.
I do like soap
But
operas.
it's a terrible soap opera. We were just 7-year-old boys, so it's the perfect soap opera for 7-year-old boys.
Have you watched the Netflix series Glow?
No, the one about the glamorous ladies of wrestling.
Yes.
No, but I haven't seen it. But I remember Glow when I was.
You should watch the series Glow. I think you'd enjoy it.
I'm not watching Glow. I'm not doing that to myself.
Okay,
Is it a historical series or is
no?
it
It's fictitiously funny.
Oh no, I'm not gonna.
But they're made up characters. There's a Glow documentary on Netflix that's historical. That's really good.
That I'd watch. Yeah, I remember Glow.
Watch that, and but the series is actually pretty fucking funny. We'll talk about that a different day. But I'm just to the point that even at that time, WWF was so popular it spurned off things like Glow that got level of the excitement as well. So all in all, I would say this is a really good documentary. Is it the greatest documentary ever? Is it the most factual, accurate about everything about Andre's life? I don't know. They get into his drinking, as you can see right here, that he would drink wine like it was water.
Honestly, part of the most interesting parts of it is how the WWF actually sprang out of all those regional things and how he was a big part of it. Like, I like the history of that as well.
Broke says it's more of a guilty pleasure for adults now. They hate watch it because it's not the same anymore. The writing sucks, people can't act, and it's too predictable. You can't sell watching wrestling to adults unless you do it. I'm going to add, unless you do it way over the top. ECW was for adults. I love the horrible acting. It's funny. Brazilian TV is all about soap operas. I can't hate them anymore. And the only good thing is the women's division. So we had the women's division when remember the Fabulous Moolah and Wendy Richter.
Yeah,
they were on their first WrestleManias. You never see them in the week-to-week matches, but they'd always show up. They'd always show up at the the wrestling at the main events, the pay-per-view events. They'd fill out the card with one or two of the where they have Moolah fight Wendy Richter. There'd be a couple of other random folks. I love this guy too. This guy in the documentary, the guy who was
his weird friend,
his weird best friend. That was his that you just like.
I was his handler, and then he's like,
look at that.
At the end.
And the last thing we're going to talk about in this documentary. Oh, did you see Andre's big pussy right there?
He was crying like one. His friend was at the end. But yeah, we did see Andre's.
We did see Andre's big pussy. Is speaking of which, they deal with Andre's flatulence, which I thought was a very funny section about how it's as bad as you could imagine. And
and there's a lot of stories they didn't get into that are famous. Like there's the Hulk Hogan story. There's a famous story about Hulk Hogan saying that like they were in a hotel room and Andre had to take a crap.
Yeah, take a dump. Yeah,
he had to take a dump. And he laid newspapers out across the floor because he was too big to fit in the toilet. Yep. Just like crapped in the middle of the hotel room. And they didn't talk about that in there, but I've heard that story. Like just scrolling through Facebook, you see like untold things you didn't know about the WWF, and you read that, and like story I've read a bunch of different times.
Yeah, and this gets talked about a lot by Vince later on. It's one of the things I like what Vince gets into. It's like you can just tell people anything about Andre Giant and you believe him. And,
right, it's true.
And some of the things he says, I remember as a kid hearing those things.
Yeah.
Like, oh, so Andre's got 2 hearts. I remember hearing that. And his drinking, I remember hearing about that a lot as a kid, how he could just drink.
What is crazy is it really does look like he has about 200 teeth.
Yeah.
When he smiles. That was the creepiest part of all the pictures of him.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy. But there's not much else we can talk about this documentary without just reliving the whole thing. I like how much he likes putting his hand on people's face. And I remember a couple of some of these appearances that he made like as a kid watching those kind of shows with my grandmother. But again, before Hulk Hogan, the wrestler I most knew of was Bruno Sammartino. And
yeah, just because he was a guy that had been like a champion. But he was probably, if we researched him, he was probably a champion where they said at one point there were 32 different divisions in the U.S. He was probably a champion up here, which is why we know him.
Right.
I mean, that name sounds like it would be a guy that wrestles out of New York.
Yeah, very true. So, Matt, thank you so much for checking this out. Anything else you want to say about this documentary?
Just quick about the documentary.
Please.
It's worth checking out for anyone who it's interesting on a few different levels. If you're a Princess Bride person, it's interesting just hearing them talk about part of the production of that. If you're into any sort of the history of wrestling, it's cool hearing him. He starts out in Europe, and he's almost sold as like a sideshow freak here in the beginning when he first comes to the U.S. So a big part of it is talked about him touring around it. So like the historical aspect of it's fascinating. Just physically, like his medical condition is super fascinating because of what it does to his whole body and how it evolved over time. How he chose to not take medication that could have stopped.
Yep.
I've heard that I think it's the Big Show had the same disease that he did, but he chose to take the drugs and the medicines that will keep it from continuing to. He's the only person that's his size and wrestling, but he like stopped it and they staved it off. And Andre like famously said he didn't want to take any of that medication because that's who he was his disease in a lot of ways.
Yeah,
and how big he was. Like look at the size of that ring there.
And I think he was afraid to lose it at any point in time. So
and then at a certain point he was so old that it wouldn't have mattered. Like it was so far into the disease that it wouldn't have mattered at that point.
Yeah, his last real opportunity to take care of it, and they get into that in here, was when he breaks his ankle and the doctor says to him, "You have anklemegalia or whatever it's called," and
he had the option to treat it, and he chose not to.
Yep.
And he abused his body. He drank like. If the numbers about what he drank is true, I've never heard of anyone consuming that much alcohol in my life.
Tom says, Phil, stall. 4 more minutes. Oh, it's 4:20. So I'll be saying goodbye for 3 minutes anyway. So yeah, it's a really great documentary. I highly suggest, even if you don't know anything about Andre the Giant, it's definitely going to place you enough and let you learn enough information. As Matt said, if you've just seen him in the Princess Bride.
One of the last like sideshow pieces that was. He would have been in the circus if it was 100 years before.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he was so they were saying that people would show up, just come to see the giant, like old school. I love how they show freak thing. Like they would show up just to see.
I love how they get into it. You'd see him once or twice, and then he'd have to move on.
Yeah, so they kept selling them around the country.
And they get into weird things in this documentary, that stuff you don't necessarily think about, but I like that they touch on. And I wish they even touched upon that stuff more. They keep saying how uncomfortable he's not living in his world. And one of the example they give is when he's on an airplane and goes on these flights back and forth to Japan or something like that. He goes traveling all around the world. He can't use the airplane bathroom.
No, he's too large to fit in the airplane bathroom. Like it's insane.
So they have
traveling around the world.
So he has to either hold it or they cut off part of the plane and make him piss in
crap on the floor
or in the bucket or something.
Yeah,
and they dump it.
He shits in a bucket in the back of the plane.
Yeah,
it's insane.
It's fucking awful just to think about it. He can probably piss from outside, like they just close off the bathroom.
Nothing fits him. It's ridiculous.
It's awful. So everybody, thank you so much for joining us.
Well done. We'll probably sit here and talk about this for 20 minutes.
After we shut off the air anyway. But Matt and I will be back in a couple weeks, month or so, to talk about 2 more Sopranos episodes.
We're doing it for like 3 years now. We're almost done with season 2.
We're getting there. We're very close. We're very close to season 2. But in fairness, this was the quickest turnaround we've had in a long time. So
it's true.
Let's try to keep this shit up, and we'll get through it before we know, and then we could switch over to Breaking Bad or something. And I have to pick the 1 of 2 shows that Matt's watched. And fuck this. This rest of this week may be a little bit hit or miss. I've got a couple of Matt's on vacation, which means I have to do my job this week. And and a couple of big long days of work. So I'm not sure if I'm going to have time to pop on out. I'm going to try to be on the air sometime on Friday after my show, but I might not because Friday's a really long day. But I will be back definitely, if you don't see me before, on this coming Sunday to talk about the season premiere of Westworld. And if anyone's watching this at any point in time later, definitely check that out because it'll already be posted. Matt, it's good to talk to you, man. Midnight Chat Attack in there. Oh, Nick's here. We gotta go. We gotta get off the air. No. But good to see Nick in the Midnight Chat Attack in the live motherfucking chat right now. And Matt, I'll talk to you next time. And this,
yeah, I got nothing to say at this point. I've done.
Yeah, if you haven't already, and you enjoyed this, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, share it with a friend.
Wow, that looks filthy. They're like molesting him right there. Look at them cupping his.
Oh, they're rubbing the belly. They're rubbing Buddha's belly right there. And Matt, I picked this song to go out on with.
I have no idea what it is.
With this, here we go. I made it. This song's for you.
Behind my head, a cold bitch, the groove in the band. Many a man contend to run, and many a wolf has gonna turn. Many truths I know to be lies. And so, what about the movie cries over Mother Nature's skies? What if the deadly ones live? It's the ways to face the tables I turn. In the wake of death and ritual, nothing would learn but hate. The system surface into frenzy, make my insides get sick. The so-called thing I've lost in my job is what to do with time. I don't think the